Just hanging on.
It's the fact you literally looked at her and then she was like, oh.
Right? Yeah.
We're disturbing something in.
Yeah, she's just like swiping me. Hello.
Wow.
Imagine if she did, I'd actually like, yeah.
Have you seen some of these reels where it's like,
I was trying to make out like I'd frozen. I stayed still for ages.
I
You
was
didn't do anything.
trying to work out whether you'd frozen or not. But you saved her, didn't you, Kel?
Yeah. So at 2.5 weeks, one of my friends found her in a shed. Basically,
That's
I
where
think
I tend
she
to keep
was
my
a runt.
kittens.
Yeah.
In the shed.
What happens with a runt, like the smallest of the litter, the mum will just abandon them.
Oh.
So yeah, had to feed her like every 3 hours, 24 hours a day.
Oh, damn. Like literally having a baby again.
Yeah.
I remember the sleep deprivation.
Yeah. It's
Oh.
worse than prep.
Oh, but she's so sweet now. How old is she now?
She's like 18 months, but she's like so small. She's still like kitten size, really.
She's diddly, isn't she?
Yeah, compared to the
Delicate.
other monsters.
Delicate.
But you must have created a bit more of a different relationship with her though, like compared to your other cats because of how young she was.
Yeah, this is what Danny says. He's like, she's your princess. She can't do no wrong. I'll shout at the other cats, and then I'm like, like last night, I was like, what is that noise? When they're in the litter tray, you can hear them banging, and it was genuinely like jungle drums downstairs. I was like, what is that noise?
We just
like,
get the occasional squeaky toy through the ceiling.
Yeah.
Because Manny's
Love
playing with Koala.
Yeah. She's just like,
Mad.
what is that noise?
Didn't Danny want to do the same thing with Dexter, but it kind of didn't really work out?
Yeah, I think he was hopeful. Dexter's not a people person.
The irony.
Yeah, the littlest one, the grey one.
Yeah.
He was found in a hedge.
Oh.
Serial death killer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Named him after a serial killer. And he's anything but.
Oh, what breed is he?
Do you know what? I don't know. I think he must be. When you look at him, he's got tabby stripes through him, but he is
Really?
yeah, in the sun.
Can't see that on Instagram.
No, so I'm wondering if he's like basically a pedigree, has had it off with like a tabby and they've dumped him.
Yeah, because he looks like a British Blue on Insta.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
Oh, I love a British Blue.
Mm.
I want to get British Blue and name him Bertie.
Oh,
Bertie.
yeah.
Ruby was nearly called Bertie.
Oh, I love that name.
And I might sneeze.
Bessie!
So I didn't manage to spatter my computer screen, which was marvelous.
We're grateful for that.
Welcome back to
bits of
episode 23
spit.
of the WPD podcast, where I nearly snotted all over the screen.
How ladylike of us.
Yeah.
And I'm dressed like
At least
Hugh
I've done the
Hefner.
intro now.
Just like our guest this week is Hugh Hefner.
Our guest this week is Pat fucking Butcher by the looks of things. You just need some big dangly earrings.
Oh, I have got some.
Doesn't surprise me.
You just need your frizzy hair. That would be better.
Oh, it was massive.
To be fair though, that sieve thing, I think like you said, it worked for you. And I think it has worked for quite a few women.
You have to use heat protection though, because the metal does get hot, which I found out initially.
Just
very quickly.
Sieve.
Basically, when I'm left in the house on my own, I'm like, especially on a rest day when I haven't got the gym and I've done my steps, I'm like a mischievous child who's like, what shall I do? I don't know.
Sieve.
I'll get the sieve.
I don't know. I don't seem to, on my rest days. Oh, that's it. Because I normally save my rest days for when I'm on 12-hour days. I was about to say, I've never found myself at home on my own on a rest day wondering what to do with myself. I normally get to the end of the rest day and go, where the fuck did that go?
Oh, legit. I'm the same. I'm like the laziest person on my rest days. When work's done, I won't move from the sofa. Never.
Oh no.
I need to start having rest days on days off rather than days when I'm at work.
You need to have like little kitchen raves yourself. Get your steps in.
What's your like go-to rave song, Kelly?
Oh, it's got to be like 90s stuff. Like Ultranate, Free.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Nice.
Like all the old school
What's it?
stuff.
I'm trying to think of. Dan says Gypsy Woman. I don't know what that is.
Oh, I know the song kinda. I haven't listened to it for a while.
And the
though.
random song, like What's She Gonna Look Like with a Chimney on Her.
Oh yeah.
What's she gonna look like with the
Or I'm
chimney?
blue.
I'm Blue, yeah.
That is
So
actually
before you.
fun.
Oh, I was going to say, was it before you were born?
I remember.
Babylon
I
Zoo,
reckon
innit?
the Chimney Woman was.
The chimney.
Yeah.
What even is that?
Oh,
Or I'm a Scat Man.
yeah.
Please.
Nice.
Not quite that scat.
Right. Okay. Okay. Did anyone watch the Super Bowl?
Negative.
Did anyone watch Super Bowl halftime with Rihanna?
I'm
I saw it on
aware.
TikTok.
Oh, she was like amazing. Just like being there all pregnant and dancing her little heart out. It was
Not just
amazing.
a little bit pregnant either.
And did you see all these people were like, is Rihanna
What is this like?
pregnant?
Romana, was that stars in their eyes or something then? There was just like smoke.
Oh, it's my vape.
Tonight,
Oh, I
Matthew.
say now.
Prepping it.
Ah, that's it. Exactly. Does that actually make any difference?
It distracts me when I'm hungry at work mainly, and means that I have to go out for steps. So I'll do 2 laps around the building. Takes me about 6 minutes, and that's my
Yeah.
screen break.
Oh.
But is it not just like starting to smoke when you're not a smoker?
Probably. But
What's in there? Is there nicotine in it though? No.
yes.
I think on some of the pens you can like decrease the amount of nicotine in it, but
It's
I
like
don't know.
2% these.
What's a
So
cigarette? Do you know?
no.
God knows.
But I'm kind of figuring out the rest after I finish prep.
Yeah, we're in the now, Kelly. God.
Yeah. Although my food's been increased, so I don't really know.
I was gonna say, so how is prep going? Because you look shredded already.
Yeah. So well, not obviously. Work's been an utter fucking head fuck. Massively stressful. And I found my anxiety was increasing. So when I'm anxious, I can't eat. Just can't eat. I'm off my food. Tom was aware, like kept saying, like, miss meals, dude, I'm stressed. I'm another 6 pounds down. And it got to the point, I'm getting confused because I checked in on a Sunday after, because last week he gave me 2 high days with 300 carb and off-plan meals both days, Friday, Saturday. Checked in on the Sunday, and I'd only literally put on about 3 pounds. Then I was back on plan from Sunday through to Tuesday, and I dropped 6 pounds.
Oh fucking hell, bro.
Yeah. And then
are you naturally like, do you naturally lose weight very quickly, or is it just because of stress?
Perfect storm, really. Like, the more stressed and anxious I am, the less I want to eat. There were like the meals I were having, I was struggling to finish as well.
Yeah.
I was just not interested in it, and I was going like 4 or 5 hours with not eating because I just didn't want to.
Plus eating in work.
Oh God, yeah.
Eating in work is almost impossible. Like, you're doing a 12-hour shift, and sometimes you might get to eat maybe 3 hours into your shift, and then you might not actually move from your chair for like 5 or 6 hours.
My role was is a bit different to what Kelly was doing, where I can leave my desk more freely. But they have introduced a new policy that you can't. It's ridiculous. I was even talking about it with my boss on Wednesday, because it's above him. And they've basically said you can't sit at your desk and eat hot food if it requires a utensil. The idea being that
use your hands like
so people were literally face planting their salads. Apparently it looks unprofessional. It makes a mess, and the smells. Which I mean, smelling curry at 3 o'clock in the morning on a night shift. So what people have been doing is eating pizza at their desks because you don't have to use a utensil. It's ridiculous. So I now have to go.
You need
out
pizza,
of the room.
so now you have to have pizza on prep.
No, I will not be having pizza on prep.
Tom, I have to have pizza.
It's the only thing I can eat. No.
But I just take my work laptop to the kitchen and sit at a table and eat whilst replying to emails, so that I'm still,
Mm.
because otherwise it's like I don't have time most shifts to have my 2 half-an-hour breaks.
Mm.
But I still obviously need to eat. So
Is
yeah,
it just down to how busy you are? Because that and the fact that you can't take those breaks.
yeah, basically. Like
Have
I'll
you
think
found the strikes to make things just worse?
it's the first few strikes were a bit odd because it actually our call volume massively. It was like the public were like, "Oh, we better not call an ambulance,"
Yeah.
massively reduced. But when was it? Monday this week we had a strike day, and it was a smaller union. Um, so there weren't as many staff that had walked out, but our call volume, even though it was all over the country, the strike, and other ambulance service would have had more staff represented by that union, so more people absent. It's
Mm.
just our ambulance service doesn't really use that union,
Yeah.
but our call volume was still. But the strike days before, it had been less than it
Mm.
would do on a normal day. I'd say it was actually a little bit higher, but Mondays are always bad because we
Yeah.
get a load of GP referrals from over the weekend as well. Um, but yeah, I can't remember what I was saying now.
Nice. Good story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was dropping too quickly. So Tom increased my calories on Tuesday,
Yeah.
and I checked in this morning. Today's Friday, isn't it? Um, Pardon me, I
Yes.
checked in this morning
All
and I
day.
was all day. I was 3 pounds up this morning.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
The plan
Yeah.
is to
Plus you've rested.
no, I trained today.
No, I mean as in you've rested from work.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
makes a huge
Oh,
difference.
massive. Well, my
Yeah.
Mm.
appetite's like back to more or less normal now.
Mm.
Yeah, because I've got 8 days off. Um,
It
but yeah,
just
the plan.
says a lot, really, doesn't it? Like how much stress affects the bodies.
Oh
Do
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like how it affects appetite, how it affects how the physique looks. Just so many things that people don't take into account when stress is elevated. It's mad.
Mm.
there were pancakes with more fullness than me on whatever day it was. Tuesday. That
You
was it.
see?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So are you sticking with this new updated plan from like going forward or
The next 4 to 5 weeks. So that will
okay?
take us, I think is it 14 weeks down on Sunday? Might be 13 weeks.
Dude, that's
That's
So
gone
so
really
far.
quick. Yeah.
Yeah, legit. Mate,
yeah,
preps do. Like, I was speaking to my client Joy earlier, and she said she's already been in prep like 8 weeks, and I was like, "Fuck me!" Like, it's flown by. The minute you get into prep,
it's
it
down
just
actually.
seems like quick, huh?
Yeah, it's like been 8 weeks since we started back in
Yeah, that's it. Because you started at the
Christmas.
20-week mark, didn't you, as well?
21.
Oh, yeah. So she started at 20, so about 7 weeks for you guys. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's mad. It
But
is mad.
that wasn't you need a 20-week prep decision.
It was
That
a.
was
I'm getting tired of being full.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't
Yeah,
eat. It was worse than like I could have literally had my breakfast and not eaten all day.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? Kel, have
Yeah.
you ever had like issues with appetite or anything?
I think I'm hungry all the time.
Really?
No, I'm not actually. I find like I get first thing in the morning when I wake up, I could probably eat the second my eyes open. I know some people
Oh,
can't.
I can't
I
do that.
can. Yeah. I
No.
could
Really?
easily, yeah, I could easily eat, but then I'm fine. And then pre-workout, post-workout, always ready to eat those meals. And then I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm not really hungry the rest of the day because I find the first meal and then my pre and post are the most sort of fill in for me.
Yeah, yeah. So I get up and I used to be able to do it, but now I like to fast for like a few hours, get cardio in or whatever, and then eat.
Yeah.
If I can't just get up and eat, it just doesn't sit well in my stomach. So
Mm.
I'll
Yeah.
always have like a meal, like later on after I've done steps or something, and then I'm right for the rest of the day.
The
Yeah.
hardest part of this shift with my calories, like it's Dan and I were talking about it this morning. It's not that I'm now like eating more and my body's like changing a little bit. It's more getting in my head that I don't need to push my breakfast back because that's
Mm,
what I do on prep. I try and because I like you, Sarah. I don't need to eat as soon as I get up.
Yeah.
So I try and push it to like 10, 11 o'clock so that I'm satiated, especially at work, because I can do that without being hungry. And then I've got the fuel for my brain for the rest of the shift. But like I did it yesterday. We went to Pure Gym, do some posing, and I took my breakfast with me. And I was like, oh, I'll eat it after I've posed because I don't want to pose with food in my stomach because I won't be able to
Yeah.
vacuum. And then I worked out the time and the other bits and bobs that I needed to do yesterday. And I was like, well, if I don't eat now, I'm only going to have an hour between my breakfast and my pre-workout. So
Yes.
I better eat my breakfast now. But it's that remembering that actually I don't need to wait for
Yeah,
eight.
because how high is your food? Is it still quite high?
Um,
Let
stand
me get
by.
my phone.
Let me get my yeah.
I
Telephone.
think
Find
if you're
knowledge.
I think if you're on prep and you've got cardio, that's different because obviously you do it fasted. So I wouldn't, I'd get up at like 4 and then train, shower, get ready for work.
Yeah.
And then I'd eat my only carb meal because I like to enjoy my carb meal. And if you're sat in work when it's busy and stressful, you're literally just forcing food down for the sake of eating, not enjoying it.
Yeah.
3,400 or 3,479 on a training day, 3,144 on a rest day.
Well, that's
Nice.
quite high then. Yeah. Yeah.
They only It only went down to 3,100, but then when I was on prep, but then
Yeah.
I wasn't eating all of that, wasn't hitting all of that, so it would have been less.
When you like told Tom, obviously he's very understanding anyway, but like, were you completely upfront with him and being like, look, like I'm just too stressed to eat? Was he just
Yeah.
like, okay, like let's reevaluate going forward, or what did he do?
So part of it, so I kept saying I was stressed, my appetite was tanked, and I was missing meals. But I'm very much one of those people that I don't feel that I need to go into a lot of depth with my coach.
Yeah.
It's just I will say like been under a lot of stress or it's been a bad week or I'll allude to something that's happened, but I don't want to offload all of that onto him because I don't
Yeah.
feel that's part of his job.
That's
That's
fair.
what Dan's for.
Yeah.
So
Dan's for the personal things.
he was
Oh,
aware, and like when I checked in on Tuesday, he was like, we need to, yeah, we can't keep going like this. We just can't keep going like this. And then I voice messaged him Thursday, so yesterday. I had a meeting with my boss on Wednesday, and he agreed some short notice special leave for me, short notice annual leave, sorry, for yesterday, today, and tomorrow night to just try and like decompress some of the stress. And I felt so much better even just yesterday. So I
Yeah.
like voice message Tom. I was like, the stress is reducing, appetite's back up, I'm getting the meals in, that sort of thing. So just sort of updated him like that kind of thing. And then I checked in again today, and yeah,
Yeah.
3 pounds up. And he's
Nice.
like, still looking lean, looking full. Catch you on Monday.
Carry on.
oh,
Yeah,
good. You look really good, to be fair.
She does, doesn't
Love
she?
that photo from yesterday.
yeah, that was
Great
good.
picture. Sarah, what are you drinking? What's floating in whatever you're drinking? I
Oh, is
was
there
like, I saw you
is there
drinking. I was like,
floating
what
stuff?
is it's
Oh wait,
what?
my little blur won't be. There's nothing floating in it. If there is, I just had like a shake because I can't.
Oh, it's probably because it's blurred out. It just looked like some sort of
It
floaty.
looks
Yeah,
like what you're seeing is the back of Sarah's hand through the glass. Is it
All
water?
right.
it's very like shitty squash.
Oh, to me,
But I've
it
been
looked like it had floaty raspberries or lumps in it. I was like, what is she drinking? I thought
because
it
I've been
might be
so
like clear
no.
protein.
Can I
Well,
just
I've never tried that clear protein. Apparently, it's very
No.
what a
is
life they lead, eh? What is this?
what is this?
Oh my god, me and Dan have the same trousers on.
Oh, look at that. And notice the
Fucking
lack of
A.
movement.
You don't give a shit. But yeah, I've been so busy today. I've been like, when I'm busy, I just drink my meals, and I must have had some shit in this before and washed out and just put some squash in it. I'm just so fucking busy. It's just, when
Remnants
you're
of
like,
the oats.
what's that? Yeah, remnants.
Remnants of oats.
Yeah, so yeah. But when you have those days where you're like, I've got time, and then you really just don't have time, and you're just rushing around. You're like, oh.
every day in
Yeah,
2023.
is the same.
No,
That's
But
why I'm
she's
orange
fucking
with my
busy.
fake tan on.
oh yeah, you were fake tanning.
Yeah, going out tomorrow night. Out.
Out.
Kelly on the lash.
Are you gonna get drunk?
Yeah, and the thing, like,
Please get drunk and
I'm
video message us.
I'm
Oh,
really
please.
well behaved when I'm drunk because I'm well behaved when I'm sober.
Don't know whether I believe that.
I think
Absolutely
that's
not.
bullshit.
I'm an absolute riot when I'm drunk, so I don't drink.
Same. Oh
Dan
no,
just
I don't
muttered.
fight people. I'm just literally I have
Dan just muttered.
ideas.
He imagines you're very accident prone.
Oh no.
Oh.
Believe it or not. Like I got up on the bar in Coyote Ugly and like took the microphone and just like did my own show.
I love
Obviously.
that.
So when I'm off prep and Sarah's off prep and you're not on prep, Kelly, should we get drunk?
Let's just do it.
Podcast.
Oh my god, that would be so good. That would be so good. There's a
Do you know
podcast
what?
out
My son's actually got vodka in a shot bottle.
there. I don't know whether that's good or not.
Oh, I think like his
Yeah.
friends, they like do
Considering
online.
he's
They
only
meet.
13, I think you need to get a grip.
Oh
Of viewers'
dear.
discretion, my son is 21.
Everyone's gonna be like, what a bad mother Kelly is giving her 13-year-old son vodka.
Yeah.
There is a podcast out there where it's like I think it's like three ladies and they figure out like murder mysteries or they read through murder mysteries and they all drink. So like the murder mysteries obviously get better and better the more drunk that they get. And I bet that's such a whirlwind of a time.
Oh my God.
In person, boozy podcast.
I think that'd be fucking sick.
It's gonna have to be like the autumn though, isn't it?
It would be, I
Yeah,
think.
that's right. That'll
Yeah,
work.
it'd be fun. I know.
Latest birthday.
Christmas do.
Oh yeah, I know.
The
Bob was
latest
talking about
birthday for all of us.
that would be sick. I know Bob was talking about doing like a podcast studio, so it might be worth doing like a studio thing. Yeah, that would be sick, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You
well
should
up for
come down because Bob literally lives down the road from me.
He lives in the Valley, doesn't he?
No, he lives in Llanelli, which is like 7 miles from my house. Llanelli.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, because you ran into him the other day, didn't you?
He's in he trains in the same gym as me. No, I didn't see him. He was there with Flex, wasn't he?
He left me a
Yeah.
lovely voice message about sheep the other day. Says
I
the
remember that
Welshman.
said the Welshman. But what's your plans, Kelly? So how's training going with you?
Yeah, really good.
Good.
I noticed I'm back in, it's been 2 weeks now, back in my normal gym. And yeah, it's so great. Like I'm noticing now I'm not far off pre-surgery, like leg pressing. My upper, the strength is coming back there. That was the
Nice.
biggest concern. I think I think
Just
I'm
for a little
overly
bit of
cautious.
context for those listening, just explain a little bit about the gym situation post or sort of pre-surgery, post-surgery, because you went to a different gym, didn't you?
Yes. So post surgery, I just went to a commercial gym, which is like 200 yards from my house, which was great on prep. That's where I did all of my cardio. But it's just like a commercial, like a Snap Fitness, like a 24-hour gym. But because post surgery, you can barely lift anything. It just worked. You're literally just moving your body, aren't you? You're just getting used to range of motion again. And like, it's incredible how much now I've noticed, like lat pull downs, I can feel it more in my back. So I don't know whether my implant being behind the muscle was maybe making my like movement different. But yeah, it's quite mad.
Possible.
So sometimes when I've trained chest, sorry, I'll actually end up with tightness almost in the front of my lat, like your serratus anterior.
Oh,
So
I fucking get that all the time. It's fucking
yeah,
bastard.
It's
and
your
it's like I
massive
need
boobs,
Dan to
Sarah.
like dig his thumb into the front of my lap. I have no idea what you just said.
I
I
said
have
it's
tits for days.
it's Sarah's massive tits. That's what's causing it.
Oh.
What did Dan just say?
He said it's actually a sign that you're recruiting your lats when you're training your pecs, so it's actually a good thing.
All
But
right, then that's good.
Your lat is a subsidiary muscle that controls stabilization of your pec.
Love it. Nice one. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Rain Man.
I actually had my serratus anterior released the other day. It was the most fucking painful thing and all my intercostal muscles as well. Oh, good Lord. I wanted to cry.
I meant to ask you about that. Who you went and saw in London?
Oh, Sam Kennett. He's like, he's been in the industry.
is he the SK something?
Yeah. Yeah.
And his wife does they do stretching, doesn't she?
Yeah. So she's been in the industry about a year now. And he's been in it for about 6 years. And like it's 90 minutes of just full on like everything. So he did like Graston tool stuff, he did stretching, he did popping. Like it was like I said to Ash, my other guy who treats me just on a regular basis, it was such an intense 90 minutes. It might have been a little bit too much because I tell you, Kelly, he had me in positions a man hasn't had me in positions before, to be honest. So it was quite intense.
As a woman had you in those positions before?
Never. No. I turned to him and was like, Sam, no one's had me in this position before. But yeah, he's not cheap, but he's so worth it. He is so worth it. Like it's kind of like a once or twice a year thing just to have a bit of a reset and a bit of a just a get-go. But
it was just like fascia release stuff, was it?
Yeah, like I would say
painful.
Oh mate, it's horrendous. Like
a
bit of fascia stuff, a bit of pop in, like he clicked my back and like rejigged my hips and stuff like that. Because where I've just over time just become super tight. Like my left QL when it's tight will hike my hip up, and that's when I've been getting a lot of hip issues. So he essentially like, and my left leg compared to my right leg was like completely out. So he just like popped things back into place, realigned me and stuff. And like I went to train chest on Monday. And like, because I was like where I should be, like joint position wise and stuff like that, I was saying to Con, like, it's really strange because this is where I should be. But before I was obviously super tight in like areas and I was just training really in a really tight, shitty position. And I was like saying to Con, I was like, oh, this is so weird. Like, I feel like I'm just floating around. Like, it's really strange. But yeah,
my body's moving like it should.
Yeah. I'm like, what is this effective movement? But yeah, brilliant. He is good. He's very good.
It's weird, like, well, it's not weird, but you've had that from a physical release. And I was saying to Kelly in a voice message yesterday, I trained pool yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's the first night since this period of stress that the night before I got to bed and I went to sleep without being awake for 40 minutes to an hour thinking about frigging emails and stuff to do with work. And I slept all the way through, didn't woke up naturally. When I trained yesterday, it's the first time, and I didn't realize it was this bad. It was the first time in weeks that I could actually focus on connection with the muscle because my head has been so busy that it was almost too noisy in there to actually focus on what I was doing.
And your back's one of those areas that you've always had like quite a good connection with, haven't you?
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see when I trained chest today, and again it was like I could really feel it. So I've got legs on Sunday, so I could be in a world of pain.
Oh fuck!
Because you're not rushing, isn't it? You're taking the time, and you're not, you're really, your window of opportunity to train when you work shifts is so small that you're trying to get it done. And yeah, you are, you do train, you do hit what you need to hit, but it's not so much the quality and the time that you would normally get, is it?
No.
Because it was your last day on Monday, wasn't it, Kelly, or was it today?
Today is my last day in the ambulance service. Yeah.
Are you a little bit sad?
Do you know what? I am and I'm not. I think I've just given so much of my time, so much of my family time, and so many night shifts, and they just get harder and harder as you get older. Like, I know I'm not super old, but yeah, you really do.
But our work age doing that role is quite old. There's not many people our age who have been in the same job, especially one that's requires such a physical and mental demand of shift work, that has been doing it 20 years. So like you think about the people you speak to at work, there's the few outliers that have been in more than 20 years, but we're now the like old hands. So it is a long time for that toll to be on your body. So yeah, it does make you feel old.
Because were you in the ambulances, Kelly, as well?
No, so I started out as a 999 call handler,
Yeah.
and they need so much respect. They are
Arguably the
Oh,
hardest
so
job in the ambulance service.
I
so
don't know about it.
undervalued. Like, I can't even tell you. Like, you get basic training, right? You get trained. We use a academy dispatch system that allows you to ask the questions and whatever. You don't get trained to deal with horrendous calls,
Yeah. My
pediatric death. You don't. Nothing
Mental health,
prepares
just how
you.
to talk to somebody in mental health.
No, talk somebody down. It's so hard. And you take it home with you. And I did that for a long time. And then I moved into dispatch, where you deal with dispatch in the ambulances. And then I moved into a managerial role where you're managing the control room.
God, I would love to have had you as my boss. I bet you were such
In
a
my Santa suit.
Yeah, oh mate, I saw that earlier. I was like, what a legend.
The best thing about that, so we were working Christmas Day, and it is what it is. You get used to working it, and it's hard, it's tough. It's tough for the public. It's a very lonely time for people. So it's, you have to try and make light of some of it. And I bought this inflatable Santa suit. What happened was, when we put it on, one of the girls I was working with, the pump was the wrong way around. So when she switched it on, it actually vacuum packed me like into this suit, and I was just like, ow.
I would
Um,
love to see that.
yeah, but it's just little things like that to try and cheer you up, because it's tough, it's really tough.
Yeah. One of my cousin, he worked for the Metropolitan Police on like doing the 999 calls for them, and I won't say what his first call was, but it was horrendous, mate. Like, first call straight the fuck in, and he was just he obviously, as a newbie, he didn't really know how to take it, so obviously he had to just kind of speak to his trainer or whatever. But yeah, it was like the most intense call he could have had for his first call. So yeah,
Part of my role is listening. So when the call handlers are taking the call, I'll what we call ambient listen. So I'll dial in. I'll be on mute. The call handler can't hear me. The patient can't hear me, but I'm listening to what's going on. And like, you know, I've been in the control room just over 2 years now, and it's still a role that I don't really like doing because of that. And I'm thinking, actually, if it's upsetting me at my age with my experience, how is it affecting that 18-year-old with very, and it's not to be sort of condescending to them, but the exposure of life experience that they've had at that point, even early 20s, it's still fairly limited, and they regularly get abused to the point where over Christmas, where we were so busy, every time somebody is abused within the ambulance service, there's an online form that you fill out.
yeah.
And it takes, depending on the details of it, it could take anywhere from like a couple of minutes to 20. But to try and make the call handlers more available for 999 calls over Christmas, they took away the form, and they did like a tag on the computer system that literally just takes a couple of seconds, your initials and a number, and that will tag that as an abusive call. And then admin staff afterwards went through and collated all the details. And what they actually found when they made the sort of reporting system shorter was the instances of verbal abuse tripled. It was something ridiculous like that, because suddenly people that couldn't be bothered to fill out this form for someone that called them a cunt were now putting the tag on. And it's just like the instances of abuse they get is just insane.
It's
Like,
mad, isn't it?
yeah,
Like, I know this isn't on the same level, but when I worked on the phones for an insurance company, again, the amount of abuse you get, I had to leave because of my mental health, like, because you just have to sit there and take it. Like, you can't
yeah.
fight back, you can't do anything. And like, half the issues that people were calling and being angry about was their fault. So you're kind of like, oh, like, it's mad.
Yeah, they do. I think people are like, I think it's very different in the ambulance service, because there's a fine line between somebody who's diabetic or with a head injury who's aggressive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's somebody who's very personal, who may well say, I know where you work. It does
Yeah.
get really, really personal.
Really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
You can tell the
Um,
ones that are doing it that aren't with it.
intentional. Yeah.
Yeah. It tends to be less personal and you can get less interaction with them. Like
Mm,
you're talking to them and they're not really there, but they're just like sounding off. And
mm,
that's easier. That's like you can take that because they're unwell and that's why they're
absolutely.
being like that. And to an extent, I can kind of take it from certain mental health patients as well, because it's an expression of their distress.
Yeah.
But it's the people that, like, there was one woman who'd called for her child, and one of my clinicians was trying to assess the child over the phone, and she just got really obstructive and abusive to the point
Mm.
where she was actually detrimenting her child because we couldn't assess it properly. And it
Yeah.
was almost like she knew if she kicked off, we'd have to make it the highest category because it's better to do that and mitigate the risk than leave it at a lower category and something happened to that child. And it
Mm.
was like I had to interrupt the call and start kind of say, look, what you're doing is actually obstructing your child getting
Yeah.
what it needs. It's appropriate
Mm.
mental. And she's still sounding off at me. It's just we had to complete a safeguarding form for the child because
In
it's
all
like
honesty, I think dealing with anything, and I think any kind of public interaction or people interaction's a nightmare.
Yeah, I agree. I
yeah.
agree. I mean, even Leeds gets like some face-to-face assholes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and she's
In
just
shops, it's
yeah. And I'm
disgusting.
like,
In
you know,
lockdown, I kid you not, in lockdown in B&M, I had to stand up for someone. It's literally across the road, it's my local.
yeah.
This person drove all the way from like Merthyrs to here, which is like, what, I don't know, an hour and a half. And this was during the time where you were meant to stay local.
Yeah.
She'd driven down to get a hot tub because it said online that it had this hot tub was in stock. And she
Yeah.
was swearing and screaming abuse. I'm parked in a disabled bay with 3 kids, screaming abuse at the staff, like, I've come here for this hot tub. And I just said to her, look, I really don't think you should speak to somebody like that. And why are you even here? She
Yeah.
said she'd been to like 6 B&Ms or something. And I was just like,
Entitled bitch.
yeah,
People, it's where the world falls down.
Go on, Karen, with your stupid fucking hot tub.
don't talk to me about Karens.
I know. Oh
Falling
yeah.
out with my uni, or like people in university. Karen.
How's that going?
I did not, when I wanted to do a degree, I was like, I want to do a healthcare management degree. It'd be great. The first 3 years, I was so motivated. And then I realized after my surgery that it takes up so much time. And
So
I
much
actually don't like interacting with other people online,
time.
like in
Oh,
forums.
our
Yeah.
forums are the worst for it. Shit. They are shit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
on the lines of like people and mental health and stuff like that. So wanted to touch on like counselling and how it can really benefit people with like mental health disorders or someone who just needs like a friend or someone to talk to.
I'm pretty, I don't know, I'm going out there.
Mhm.
I'm just theorizing from what you've told me in the past, Sarah, and knowing I think all three of us at some point have had some sort of I mean, I've had counselling and psychotherapy, and I know
Yeah.
Kelly's had similar, and I'm presuming you have as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think there's
It brought
still
us together.
yeah,
Broken
yeah.
people.
Um, I think there's still, unfortunately, a level of stigma around seeking mental assistance for
Mm.
whatever level. It's like I don't think twice about booking and going for a massage,
Yeah.
but it took me until Wednesday to register with like most NHS service like trusts will have some sort of staff counselling service, and because of the way I'd been feeling, it took me until Wednesday to register that I may need to engage in that process again. I'm actually
Yeah.
feeling now I've had the downtime that it probably won't be needed because of the factors involved in how I'm feeling at the moment. It's just taking the pressure off has done the job. But when
Yeah.
I have engaged, I've gone privately and through the London ambulance service when I was up there. And had counselling through London and then private psychotherapy. And both of them were integral to bringing myself back to a point of sound. When saying sound mental health wrong, but being
Better, I guess.
being more mentally well. There we go, more mentally well.
What's the difference between psychotherapy and just counselling? Is there a difference?
So, from my understanding, psychotherapy involves a psychology or some psychology degree to some extent.
Yeah.
Whereas counseling, you can do courses in counseling. That I think there is even degree programs, but it's psychotherapy is more from a psychological background, and they
Yeah.
use their unagi. I mean, counselors do to an extent as well, but my experience of the counseling I went to, it was more a listening ear, whereas the psychotherapy I had, the psychologist was more he we did some like meditation techniques,
Yeah.
some sort of CBT type techniques. He was more probing with questioning, whereas the counselor, in a way, I kind of felt like you could get away with not talking about the difficult stuff with a counselor because it's what you bring up. And if you
Yeah.
don't want to go there, then you don't have to go
Mm.
there. But when I went to psychotherapy, it was more like, let's poke this, let's prod this, let's
Yeah.
get into this.
Yeah.
Deeper.
Yeah, it was. And
It's more
I,
scientific as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's I I remember being more mentally and emotionally drained from from a therapy session than from a counseling session.
Yeah, I can imagine you would. Did you feel you benefited more from the psychotherapy than the counselling? Or
I
just
was
the
That's difficult to compare because I was so much worse when I went for psychology. Counseling wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Um, because I was so shut down that I didn't know what I needed to unpack.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was sort of similar to how I am now, but not nowhere near as bad on Wednesday when I sort of had to speak to my boss. It's that the only way I could describe it is feeling of high alert, like everything was firing all the time, and any tiny little stressor was like a catastrophe, like absolute end of the world. Like, what was it? I was trying to do a check-in Monday night and I lost my laptop had rebooted and upgraded and I'd lost all my check-in sheets. And that was
Oh,
like horrendous. But it's not because I just get my client to email it back to me and it's
Yeah.
there. But it was like, oh my God, this is horrendous. This is the end of the world. Those sorts of things. Whereas when I went for counselling, my stepdad had just been diagnosed with leukemia, and my mum was quite emotionally demanding or needed a lot of emotional support. So I needed to talk about that so that I could support her.
Yeah.
So it was
yeah.
different.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think when I had a counselor, I didn't do psychotherapy. I literally just had a counselor, and then I was almost admitted to CAMS, but I had a CAMS nurse that used to come to like school and stuff and check on me and that.
For
But
those
my
that
counselor was
sorry,
that?
just for those that aren't aware, CAMS is Child and Adult Mental Health Services.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I literally just had oh. Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one. I think that's who it
I just
was.
think it's like
No,
helpful, isn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah.
We're always
Because
told
like
not to
we know
use
what we're talking
acronyms.
about,
Yeah.
but I understand that other people might not.
Yeah. And I literally just had a counselor, Pam. Like she was just a lady that was a volunteer. She was a nurse for like years, and like hands down, Pam literally saved my life. Like it's not until like you come to the end of like a series of counseling sessions or whatever. I think I saw her for like a while. I can't remember really how long, but you come to the end of it and you think, all she's done is just sit there and listen. And like I was quite bad when I was younger. Like I had like a self-harm nurse and stuff like that, and it was just like the people that were more from CAMS were more robotic. Like the nurse that I had was lovely, Vicky. Like she was an absolute legend. Like she would come and check me up and check on everything and stuff like that. And but I never had the same relationship with people from CAMS as I did with Pam, because she was just a mum. You know what I mean? Like a mum that wants to help. Like she can just sit there and just listen. And
It can be more personable, I think, sometimes.
yeah,
Like somebody like that, knowing what the NHS is like and all the will in the world, you sometimes would love to spend an extended period of time with a patient, but your time constraints mean that that's not possible. It's
Yeah.
really annoying me that my screen is reflecting in my glasses.
It looks pretty. But
Yeah.
but yeah, and she was just, and it was just mad like how much of a difference she made just to my life. And yeah, like it just, I think what a lot of people, I said this to a young lad the other day who was struggling, and I said, look, like, have you thought about therapy? And he was like, I have, but I'm just worried that I won't be able to find the right person. And like, that sounds really strange, but like, I said to him, like, look, it took me 2-3 attempts to find Pam, like,
Yeah.
find my counselor, and that's perfectly okay. Like,
Yeah.
like some people you get on with, some people you can't, and you got to remember that you are literally spilling everything that's in your head, which some people might not want to hear about. Like, when I was like on the edge, like quite suicidal, like I didn't want to tell some random, because I went to go and see a guy first, and he was just some like poncy man, and I don't want to tell him how I'm feeling. Do you know what I mean? Like,
A man, he was just a man,
yeah,
basically.
I am.
That was the
Went down
issue.
Tesco's and there was a dude with a dog outside, and I just thought I'd offload on him. And yeah, I should have chosen a different person.
Yeah,
But it's the same as a coach, isn't it? You've got to
Yeah.
find somebody that fits with you and your needs and
Yeah.
your vulnerabilities. Mostly, a
Yeah.
very vulnerable time, you need to feel comfortable.
I
Yeah,
suppose that is
exactly.
something as well to consider. Like when I went private to find a psychotherapist, we were lucky enough that one of our close family friends, her daughter has had struggles with depression and things like that. So we had quite a good reference point in the local area of somebody that had had exposure to all these services and asked their advice. And she suggested this guy over in Bournemouth who had seen her daughter and several other people and had had good experiences with them. And like, to be honest, talking to a man, it didn't even enter my, and for some people, gender will be important, but for me at that point, it didn't really matter. My counselor was female. It is an interesting perspective. I think, you know, if you do maybe have some vulnerabilities around, I don't know, not necessarily talking of you specifically, Sarah, but like some
Yeah.
people do find it more comfortable to speak to either the same gender or even the different gender.
Yeah.
These are all important things to consider. If you're looking up a psychotherapist and you're actually like, I'm a bit untrusting of men at the moment, or you're looking for a counselor,
Yeah.
then perhaps that's one way of narrowing your search, is looking for a
Yeah.
female.
I mean, I think like from speaking to some lads, like this young lad was just like, I just prefer speaking to women because it's just, I just find it easier. And like, even when I worked in rugby, when I was a therapist, like a sports therapist, all the lads you would find, they would, yes, we were younger ladies, but like all the lads would come to us and be like, oh, Sar, like, I'm not feeling great today. Or even my partner in crime, who I worked with for a long time, Hannah, they would go to her, and you wouldn't see these lads going up to the other lads being like, oh, I feel a bit shit, because they would just get a slap on the arse and sent on the way onto the pitch. You know what I mean? Like, whereas they
Still
would
that
just come to
stigma,
us. Yeah, yeah. And I think these big burly guys were coming to two like young ladies for advice on things, and if they just needed just like a chat, they would just come to us. And I'm not saying every man can confide in like a woman for help, but like I think a lot of the time it is like a lot of people just find it easier to speak to women.
Yeah.
But again, it's just down to who you feel comfortable opening up and being vulnerable in front of.
Yeah. I mean, I had to kind of have a bit of a ego swallow on Wednesday and say to my boss how I was feeling.
Yeah.
Which Kelly will understand this. It's almost like there is this massive culture of if it's okay to not be okay in the ambulance service, but when it actually comes to admitting that, it's still quite a difficult thing to kind of go, do you know what? I'm actually not really okay at the moment. It's
Yeah.
quite a, you can feel quite a negative introspectively about it, but actually it's not, because having that conversation with him has led to the much needed time off. Whereas if I'd just carried on,
Yeah.
I probably would have had to go sick.
Yeah. I say that to everyone. Like, even when I remember the point in which I said to my dad, I'm not okay. Like, I remember just being on the edge and just like crumbling and being like, Dad, like, I need help. Like, I'm actually really struggling. And I say to a lot of people, like, the first step of getting better is admitting that you're not okay. and it's perfectly fine. It is hard to do, but once you've stepped back and be like, you know what, I actually need a little bit of help, that's the first step, and that's a massive step to take and a massive thing to admit. And people should feel proud for admitting it, because it is a massive step.
And the
Absolutely.
earlier you admit it, the less likely you will fall down the rabbit hole. And like, I think, yeah, like I said, if I'd carried on, I would have probably been off sick for months, as
Yeah.
opposed to just having 3 days annual leave, giving me a week off. And like, I already feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Kelly? Did it take you a while to find your counsellor, or?
So very similar to Mana, my first ever experience with counselling was through work, and it was literally, I can still remember this awful brown sofa, and instantly I was
Welcome
like,
to the
oh.
NHS.
I was like,
Mine had really bright red lipstick on every time, which I found a bit disconcerting. Like sat in a living room with like proper red.
well, this was like above a shop, and it was a really small room. And I just found that I was just talking, she was just listening. She wasn't giving me any kind of, well, I need to have a plan. I'm very OCD. I'm very, very organized. And I found like the first session, I was just saying what was wrong with me. And it just became like I would go there and I was venting, and I'd leave really emotionally drained and not feeling like I'd achieved anything. And then I went to my GP and I was like, I am so, like, I'm really, really struggling. And they referred me. By the way, still waiting for that referral. 10
Oh
years.
God. That's bad, isn't it?
And then I went back through Task, which is the ambulance service charity, and they put me in touch with a woman that deals with like human givings, which is like a type of counselling and therapy.
Sounds
And
like something that like you'd have to fill out a safeguarding form for.
yeah, it was, do you know what? And this lady, she was like elderly and she was so lovely. And she turned to me and she said, has anybody ever told you that you've got PTSD? And I was like, no, because in my head, I thought PTSD was for people that had been through massive traumas, like people that had been through war and things like that. Yeah. Yeah, genuinely, I just thought, well, I haven't got this trauma. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she was like, I don't like to use the word victim. I am a survivor of child abuse and never really
Put two
thought
and
of
two
that.
together and made four.
No, but you genuinely
Yeah.
don't, because like I didn't even speak about it until I was 16. And even, because there is like a stigma involved when it's something like that you don't want to open to it or even admit it, because it's, for some reason, you feel embarrassed even though it's not your fault. So
It's
I
a
didn't
lot of
actually so I didn't actually get
self-induced shame,
diagnosed.
isn't there,
Yeah.
unfortunately?
So I didn't get diagnosed with PTSD till I met this woman, and she did like rewind therapy with me, which is incredible if you look into it, where I'm not great at imagining things. It's why I struggle sometimes with meditation when they tell you to think about a waterfall.
Just
But you're
makes me want to pee.
literally, yeah, you're just thinking about the trauma in your life and repeating it continuously in your head. And eventually, when you're repeating what's happened to you, it starts breaking up. And what happens in your head becomes sort of like skipping a video then, and you're only getting bits of it. And then eventually, when you try and think about it, it's not there. It's
That's really
really
interesting.
incredible. It's if you get a chance, for anybody listening, have a look into rewind therapy, and it is the most incredible thing I've ever been through. And subsequently, since that treatment, I think I had 6 sessions. She put me into a meditative state. Since then, I can think about what's happened to me, but how I deal with what's happened to me is totally different. It's not intrusive. Like, part of my thing is that I do still sleep very, very light. I'm very aware if anybody walks in the room, I wake up instantly. That you can't get rid of because that's learnt behavior. That's not
I think some of that as well is probably personified by 20 years in the ambulance service, because I get that.
what, the trauma.
No, it goes back to that heightened state of alert.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you, on top of your experiences as a child, you then
Mm.
have this environment that is designed to make you be highly stressed all the, we constantly we're looking at a screen full of death and destruction. There's no other way of,
Mm.
and occasionally there's a toothache or a pussy penis in there, but as a rule, generally the waiting call stack is full of unwell
Not a
people.
job for you, Sarah. Not a job
I,
for you.
I'll
No.
pass on the pussy penis.
But
Like.
I still, this is the first relationship I've been in where, until like the last few weeks, where I've been really, really stressed, where I have slept through somebody getting up out of bed in the middle of the night or coming
Mm.
back into the room. It's the first, like, and the first time where I've gone to bed before Dan, I will fall asleep and I will have an awareness that he's come into the room, but I would get like this in my chest, like my heart would go
Mm.
100 miles an hour because it would almost make me jump. And I think it's got to be the work environment that puts you in that state subconsciously as well. So you probably have it double layered.
Mm. It's just the perceived threat, isn't it? That like
Yeah.
it's always going to be there. It's that flight or right. It's always there for you.
Yeah.
Then recently I had counselling again, and that was a totally different counselling. So that was an amazing woman from Cardiff University, again through the NHS, as in work. And she was great. And we just spoke really about the social anxiety, the issues that I was having about going out and about, not just the gym. I got confident going to the gym, but I struggled with going shopping. Like I went to Aldi with
And
Danny, had a massive panic attack, like
this is
ridiculous.
post-surgery, isn't it?
Post surgery, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
really
So this
bad.
isn't something you suffered with.
No, never. No, I mean, come on, I'm not
So I don't
exactly
remember. Yeah, I
shy.
know. That's what I mean. I was more clarifying for myself as well, because I don't remember you mentioning
Absolutely not. No, I've
that.
never had social anxiety. I've never really been bothered about what people say about me or what people think about me. And I am a confident person to a certain extent. I will dance and whatever, I don't care. But I suddenly became like a little, put a coat on, hat on. And if I could have worn a mask, that would have been ideal because it would just be like my eyes. And I was spoken to like my counselor, and she was like, well, what do you think it is? And I said, do you know what? I think I'm worried about small talk. I'm worried that people are going to look and see me and think, she's not in work and she's walking around Aldi, or like random as that sounds, or she's walking around she looks like there's nothing wrong with her.
Post mastectomy,
Post mastectomy, yeah.
when you were still off sick from work.
Yeah.
Just filling in
So
the
it was
gaps.
just the small talk. And that never bothered me, but suddenly it became this massive thing. And then I really just had to sit and evaluate what was making me miserable in my life. And a massive part of that was work. And then I got a new job, and I got a job, but at a time I wasn't very confident. I had this social anxiety, but actually now I feel more alive than I ever have. And like I'm going to a gig with Sean and Danny next month, and that's not something I could think of doing. I couldn't even go and see my family Boxing Day.
Yeah. Do you think that has also, obviously it was work, but do you think obviously going through the operation and that just added like another layer to your anxiety from work?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's mad once you kind of sit back and be like, oh, actually, like that was a problem.
Massive problem.
That's the problem.
And I shared it all on my, like, I share it on my Instagram, and I often think to myself, oh my God, like, why am I sharing times when I'm crying or times when it's really tough? And then a few days later, I'll get a message from someone and they'll say to me, I'm glad you shared what you did. Like, I'm having one of those days. Like, how do you deal with it? Or like, I've been crying all day today. And I'll say, allow yourself to deal with that. Allow yourself to cry. Allow yourself to have those really shitty days. But then promise yourself tomorrow, right, I'm going to feel however I want to feel today in this hole of hell. Tomorrow, I'm going to get up and I'm going to try and feel better, try and not allow it to get on top of me, because it's sitting in that emotion continuously that's hard.
Yeah.
It's a delicate balance, isn't it, between allowing the feel of the emotion to process it versus wallowing in it. And it's I don't know how you pull yourself from one to the other particularly. I haven't had those sorts of days for a very, very long time. So I have like shitty days, but mainly when I just can't be fucked.
But then I think again, like what doesn't help is like social media perceives like everyone is so like perfect and happy in their happy little lives with all this money influence, when really like it's better to see that someone's having a bad day, because it gives people relatability. Like for me, like when people are like, oh, you eat chocolate, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I eat chocolate. Like just because I'm an IFBB pro doesn't mean I don't eat chocolate. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's the
Some
same
of
with
us
like
fake.
yeah, with mental health. Like yes, pros have bad days. Like we're not all perfect. No one's perfect. So the fact that social media makes everyone like gives the perception that all these influencers and that are living the high life and stuff, they're probably having their bad days too. But it's the fact that they don't show those bad days, which sort of bugs a lot of people. And it's sort of, and the fact, Kelly, that you can go on your story and show like, or we all can go on our stories and be like, I'm having a fucking shit day. Like it gives people relatability and shows us that we're human as well, you know. And it's very important to do that.
I'm not saying that everybody should suddenly start going on their story.
Just be like
Crying.
hashtag Kelly's tears, and then we'll start a trend.
Yeah. Let's get your tears viral.
Kitchen raving, that's what we need to get.
Yeah, that's it.
But I just, I've always been a really positive person. I like a laugh, like, that is how I am. And I was so negative. Everything was negative.
Yeah.
Like, well, Mana would know because she's probably, I speak to like voice note Mana every single day. And like I noticed the change in me.
Yeah.
It's mad.
It was when you got the job and you put on your story and the smile on your face, and again the tone of your voice in the voice messages. That's how we like, and you picked up on it straight away yesterday when suddenly the tone of my voice messages is so completely different.
She's alive.
Yeah. Well, I'm alive. I feel alive on the podcast for the first time in
I'm gutted though, because then you're not saying things like rubber cum.
Yeah.
I also got asked. Somebody actually
What's
asked
this?
me.
Can we just talk? Look.
That's your.
What's that? I look like a fucking Klingon.
Stressed Eric vein.
I think it's prep vein. It's only going to get better from here, isn't it?
I'm excited.
Somebody actually asked me what rubber crumb was, thinking that it was some sort of bodybuilding term. They were like, "Oh, I'm not. I listened to the podcast, but I don't know anything about bodybuilding. What is rubber crumb?"
Did you explain to her what it was?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. All right then.
It's basically perhaps you need to explain what it is. It's the rubber. It's like 3D turf, isn't it? That they use.
So yeah, it's literally like 4G fake grass
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally like 4G. It's just fake grass, and they just put rubber bits in it
so instead of the sand that we used to scrape our knees when we fell over playing hockey.
Yeah, sand. Legit.
That's got to be slightly less painful.
What, the 4G?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's way less painful than that. I remember.
I hate sand in my house though. So imagine sand everywhere. That's worse.
That is worse, that's because you can feel it. You can't necessarily see it, can you, with sand?
Yeah. I just remember the amount of times I've stacked it playing hockey, and the only thing I would be concerned about is not the face, not the face.
I was once playing football, and I was like slide tackling some girl, and I ended up taking the entire like front of my skin of my shin off, and it got so infected. It was like white and it was vile. And obviously I was like, it was like my second year, first week back of like, so it was like kind of fresh as week. So I was like going up with like this bloody seeping like leg, just like woo.
It doesn't heal there either, does it?
It was horrendous.
I did that on a box jump when I was doing CrossFit on the wooden. Nobody should ever have wooden boxes in CrossFit, by the way. And it literally just like shredded I like missed my foot in, and it just went down my shin. And I was like, this is never healing.
I think that is every CrossFitter anywhere has done that at some point. That and scrape their shins with the deadlift bar.
And take
my favorite
palms of your hands off.
Yeah, although I never tore my hands when I was crossfitting because I never used that much chalk. I just chalk just before, and then maybe once more during the workout. But
I bought bitch mitts
every time CrossFit tip: people that chalk every time they're doing kipping pull-ups, you will tear your hands.
Well, there we go then.
Or you can get these like little bitch mitt things.
Yeah.
Sit on your hand.
Oh, I know the one you're on about, Cal.
You just put them like 2 through your fingers.
Yeah. That
For anybody listening, they'd be like, what is she doing? I'm putting my hand up and describing. Very visual in Wales. We like to use our hands.
Talk amongst yourselves for 2 seconds. I'm just going to run up and get my laptop charger. Not that it's low, but I just
Are you going to freeze?
Oh, fucking hell.
We'll just freeze
Dan's gone to Tesco, so
back.
Have a breathe bug.
Oh, that actually hurts my jaw.
Smiling, not used to that.
So, are you excited to start prep?
Yeah, I am, to be fair. Like, it's like 9 weeks, maybe April 29th is when I start. So,
oh my God,
mate, it's flown by already. Like,
so
Tom literally messaged me like, "Oh, you're like 26 weeks out from your first show," and I was like, "Stop, just stop."
Just tell me when we're starting.
Yeah, just tell me as each day.
Do you think it plays with your head because you're thinking, I've got this long to?
Yes and no. Like the initial, you got 26, whatever, or however many weeks it is, to your first show. It does make me feel anxious. But then, like, if you said to me we're starting prep in like 4 weeks, I'd be like, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
But I think it's normally what makes me feel anxious is the fact that I'm like, I need to pay for my Airbnb, I need to get my bikini ready. It's not the process of prep or getting on stage. It's the things that I need to pay for. Like, I've paid for flights already, but now I've got to bug out another load of money to pay for the Airbnb. So it's kind of like so much money, but it's worth it.
So where is your first show in Alicante? Is it
Texas?
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we're not.
Are you getting to do any touristy bits? Is Leets going?
Yeah, so it'll be Leets, my best friend, and her friend going. So we're this time round, like we had Reno last year where we had the touristy bit after. But going into Texas this year, I don't really want the touristy bit after, especially if I don't win Texas, then I have to go. I'll go on to Alicante, and I don't want to be out away from home when I've got another show to prepare for. So, and it's money. I can't afford to be out there for much longer because it's just too expensive. But ideally, if I do win Texas, there she is. If I do in Texas, then I'll be able to come out of prep, rebound, grow a bit, and then go back into prep for the Olympia. But I was saying to someone the other day, like, you just don't know who's going to turn up, and I'm absolutely fine with that because I love being on stage, like, and I think I have a good chance of placing very well, but it's just who turns up, you know. So,
do you feel like in a better place mentally this time now because the pressure of obviously the pro debut's off on you, or do you feel more pressure because you play so well in your pro debut?
I think I have less pressure. Like, I think mentally I'm in a better place. Just purely because I don't have a job in Asda anymore, and that was quite taxing because it's just the demands on the job, and people, and like now, like I do feel like I'm a full-time bodybuilder. Like, yes, I'm a coach and I love being a coach and all that, but like I was saying earlier, with my rest days, I just rest. Like, I do my work and then I have a massage and I just chill out because that's now my job. Like,
dream.
Exactly. And I mean, this is amazing. Like, I dreamt of doing something like this. But I think, I feel, me and Tom have had a good chat about what happened last year. And we sort of threw everything under the carpet and said, right, we need to actually sort our shit out this year because, like, things happened last year and that shouldn't have happened. And we both know what went wrong. And this year we're like, okay, all right, we need to get this sorted, and we're having 16 weeks. I think it was my fault to be like, let's do 12. It was too much. And I did get a little bit of fat in my off season last year. So we've tried to mitigate this time round. So, like, and it just shows in the fact that last year I couldn't get to 80 kilos. And we were pushing, I think I was up to just under 1,000 grams of carbs on my training days. And I just couldn't, I was just getting fat. It was weird. Like, whereas this time round, I think the highest my carbs have gone is 675. And I've got to 84 kilos without really an issue. And my composition's been way different. So I think we've definitely put on tissue this time around. And I think the things that we need to have covered for prep this year it are so much better. So I think it's just, and I think
exciting.
Because, exactly. And I think because I've got, the people behind me that I want behind me. And and I have like a little bit more money behind me this time around as well. Like it's just a better situation to be in. It's just a better situation to be in. I think, obviously this is pre-prep Sarah saying this. When I'm in prep, I'm probably like, but yeah,
But
I'm excited.
that's a whole topic on itself, though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
How are you feeling about your debut?
Me,
Your yeah.
it's going to be very different. Very different. We booked the Airbnb today, which
Oh,
is
nice.
lush.
Is
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, no, it's really, really. I'll send you the link on WhatsApp.
I'll do it.
It's something like 750 odd quid for the week between two of us.
Oh, fucking hell, that's not bad.
That's
And
good.
it's like
And where is
it's
that?
in Toronto.
Oh,
And it's like a really
Just so
clean,
people know.
white, bright, like finding sorry, what?
For your tan. Nice, clean, white, bright for your tan. Lovely.
But for check-ins, hang on a minute, we've got some movement here.
Is that Dan? Oh, it's the
Yeah.
dog. I was like, is he under the cover?
But it will be so my very first show, the one Sarah and I both did together, and we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking one day I want to look like her. That's the only show. Oh no, I lie. I did have friends come with me to PCA British Finals in 2019. But since then, I've done 4 shows on my own, and 2 of them were in a foreign country. So this will be the first IFBB show / NPC, because the other ones have all been either Two Bros or IFBB Pro shows, where I'll have somebody with me and some like a partner, not just a friend. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a very different experience. I think whatever the outcome, it's going to be more emotional because I've got that person with me. And then there's the element of being on stage and knowing that my person's there watching,
Yeah.
which is going to be quite cool.
It makes such a difference.
Are you
I
listening?
hope you can stream them. Can you stream Toronto? Do you know?
You should.
She thinks she's going to be emotional. I'm going to be crying like a little bitch.
Hear that?
See, big men do cry.
Big men do. He cries more than me.
Oh, bless him. Bless him. Yeah, a lot of them are live streamed, I think, Cal. They're just at weird hours of the morning. I think like
and some of them are weird links, and then all of a sudden you start getting
Really?
random like pop-ups on your phone, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna get hacked.
Yeah, yeah, but like my
I'm
finals is at
so-
like 3 o'clock in the morning over here, so no one would watch it.
Unless I'm on nights. Oh, look at that squidgy face.
Oh,
Me and
Great.
Ron we'll have a pajama party and watch you.
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's
3
sick.
o'clock and we'd be fast asleep.
We
And then
could
we'd be like,
Zoom
you were
call.
amazing.
We could do a video call and
Yeah, we'll
watch
get
it.
Dan to pay, and then
Yes.
you put the phone on the TV, and then I can watch it for free.
Oh yes, that'd be great.
When is Texas?
Huh?
When is Texas?
August 19th. Yeah.
How hot will it be out there?
I'm
It'll
trying to
be-
work out what
It will
I'm
be
working.
blindingly hot.
Yeah.
I'm going to burn.
So I'll be doing
Ouch.
the figure show the week before.
Oh, mate. What date's that?
It's either the 11th or the 12th. It's the 2-day show, so I imagine it'd be the 12th.
You've gone all like chapel sounding. Like
You
you're
have?
in a... Yeah.
Talk.
Ooh. Hello.
Oh,
That's
there
bad.
we go. You're back.
Oh, okay.
Oh, here we
yeah.
go. Be prepared in case.
Yeah.
No, I think I'll definitely come to that, to be fair.
Will you
Yeah,
be
I
in the
think I
country?
will.
I'm only leaving for Texas on the 16th.
Oh, okay.
So I'm leaving on the Wednesday, competing on the Saturday, and coming home on the Monday.
I'm not going to sit next to you all like that shredded.
That's fine.
I'll be like,
I'll just
be
look like a
honest,
piece of paper.
I don't think.
we'll sit quietly in the crowd.
Yeah.
The plan is I'll be on the reverse. So
Oh, nice.
it's going to be quite interesting because I'll be full as a fucking house, but hopefully not
Yeah.
quite as lean. But we've got, because I'm doing Chicago on the 23rd of July, and that's Dan's birthday. So we're then going to spend a few days in Chicago, which will technically be off prep. And I'm literally like, I think Tom doesn't really want me to do it, but I just want to do it for people in the
Fuck
UK
it.
to watch me on stage. Like my dad might come up for it, which would mean a lot, and like having you guys there. It's more about being on stage on home turf than the result. And
Yeah,
enjoying
that's
the
it.
process.
It's
Exactly.
such a shame, isn't it, that they just don't. Well, we could spend all day talking about the fact that WPD doesn't get it in the UK, but it is what it is, isn't it? You've just got to.
Although it will be quite exciting to stand on stage next to Meg Sylvester again after we've both had 2 years off season.
Yeah, that would be sick. I love Meg. I think she's really lovely, to be honest.
Well, we both did Hungary, Budapest.
Oh yes, you did, didn't you?
And I was 13, she was 14, so we were next to each other, so we chatted a little bit.
Oh,
So yeah,
nice.
interest, especially like how much tissue she's put on. I really want to stand next to her and see how we look now, because there's a photo of us back then. So yeah, it'd be quite amusing.
Yeah, it's mad how big the figure girls are now, though. Oh, it's mad. It's mad, mad, mad. And some of them, I think,
exciting. Some of the amateur ones now, like Shelley, looks amazing.
Shelley does look amazing. She's always looked so good. I don't understand how she didn't get her pro card last year, and it really fucking upsets me.
We all got it in the end.
Yeah,
who got it?
I can't remember. I don't even know who it was. I can't remember.
I can't remember either, which is bad.
No,
because I should really.
I just remember being just fucking infuriated.
I can't remember either.
Because we were just in the stands like, oh shit. When they were like, and I just don't know what they were looking for on that day. It was weird. It was a strange day, that was.
It's kind of like when Penny and April, like, utterly no disrespect to April whatsoever, but she was the smaller athlete.
Yeah.
But then I didn't think Penny looked too big for figure.
No, I didn't either. I mean, like you said, like no disrespect, like they're both lovely women, and I'm not being biased because Penny's my client, but like I thought Penny was just outstanding that day. Like I just thought, fuck me, like she looks insane. And yeah, I was just beyond gutted that she didn't win that, because she had a weird season, the fact that she's like seconds, third, and I was just like, what is it that we're missing out here? Like, what do they want? And we never got feedback from Two Berries in the end. I don't think we only got it from other shows. But like for me, when Penny was on stage, I was like, that is figure. Like, because she's bigger, she's got a lovely figure. Like
she's got
and she's
got the X frame. And April,
exactly,
it's all there, but it's just more compact.
Yeah. I personally think like a lot of the figure girls, it like you look at them and I think for me, like we said last episode, it is that beautiful X frame you get with figure girls. Like, I mean, like look at Meg, for example, like she is literally a Dorito on legs. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's that tiny waist. It's the tiny waist. It's the Dorito
for ages.
The bubble delts, and then some nice big legs.
Yeah, exactly.
And I felt like,
is that the new like criteria? Like when you look on the bottom, it's like Dorito on legs with
bubbly doubt.
It must look like a Dorito or another triangle flavored crisps. Other crisps are available.
April's midsection, by the nature of the fact she's that bit younger and hasn't had children, that was very tight on her. Penny's wasn't like loose by any stretch, but I felt like April had a midsection over Penny. Yeah. But other than that, the rest of it was all there on Penny.
Honestly.
The joys of kids wrecking our bodies.
Oh, mate, she's had I think 4, and she's just incredible. She's nuts, isn't she?
How old is she?
And she's so lovely.
I have no idea. And I'm not going to say an age because I know she listens to this, and I'm going to be like, Penny's 50. No, I can't. No, I did. Yeah, I can't remember, and I really don't want to upset her.
no. But I think it's fair to say she's got to be in her 30s, surely.
I think so. Yeah. She's badass anyway. She's coming to the cinema to be seminar.
Seminar.
Just a reminder on that, people. 25th of March from midday, Kingdom Gym, Birmingham. We will be releasing more stuff and things about it when we actually get our shit.
To be fair, I just haven't really done it because is February a 30th month?
No, the 28th.
When does February end?
Yeah, I'll probably start
on the 28th.
I always forget that February is 28th,
unless it's a leap
time. It's great though because it means you get paid quicker.
Yeah.
Ah, that is true. Opinions
Yeah.
me. Yeah. That's good. That is good. Right. I actually need to go for a wee, but do you want to start some questions?
Yeah. I think you had one, didn't you, Kelly? I just got weird ones. I had nothing actually, apart from Nat asked whether I could see out of the trench that I'm in. Tom has given me a couple of issues of Yellow Pages, so I'm about here above the trench at the moment.
Ah, okay.
Did you just
Get
pull
there.
that face
Are
about the
Yellow
reference of Yellow
Pages
Pages?
still a thing?
No.
I don't think so. I haven't seen Yellow Pages in ages.
Perhaps you can get some and hand them out at the seminar.
Yeah, if anyone else is in a trench, please help yourself.
The Yellow Pages on the way
I
out.
am going to talk to the owner about the possibility of offering blood work services as
Great
well
idea.
while we're there. So
I'm
yeah,
gonna go for a wee because I'm busting.
watch this space on
Yeah,
that.
so we'll do this question, the Mono, because you're the expert.
Okay. No pressure.
It's obviously a sexual one.
Oh.
No, it's not. You're like, oh.
My reputation precedes me.
Tips to help with night sweat and menopause for my wife.
Oh, night sweats. Getting your HRT sorted at the start. Yeah. It's night sweats isn't something I suffered with my symptoms, but I was speaking with a client on Monday and she's been having them terribly. And we're hoping that she wanted to have a conversation about femtest as a form of TRT. So it'll be interesting to see and hear from her whether the night sweats reduce. I found my general hot flushes reduced with appropriate dosage of femtest. I started off we started off lower and worked up, and the lower level I was still getting like I suppose it was night sweats because it was always on a night shift. And I joked about them for years about my 4 a.m. sweats. And it would literally be, do you remember the Beast from the East when that hit?
Yeah,
2018.
the snow,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's 2018. It's minus God knows butt fuck. And I'm like sat there with both windows of the ambulance open, driving along, fucking sweating my tits off. So I
It
suppose I
wasn't
did.
cleanse sweat.
No,
Cleanse sweats.
this was pre-bodybuilding.
God.
So yeah, those night shift sweats did dramatically reduce when I got my HRT sorted, but the initial dose we started on wasn't quite enough. And then when we escalated it slightly, just slightly, it was enough to bring me in range. But one of the things, and this is why it's really important with when you're getting blood work done, that that's not the only indicator to being peri/menopausal slash postmenopausal, because my testosterone is actually quite high. But if we lower,
What's your natural testosterone, Ro? Do you know?
I don't know pre-menopause symptoms. I don't know.
Okay.
I could probably find out because it would be on my medical records back from 2019. That would
Yeah.
be interesting. I might try and dig that out actually. But my test levels in my blood from being on femtest are higher end of range. But when we pulled
Yeah.
it down, I became symptomatic again. So,
Oh,
oh, am I still
sorry.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
God.
right. I thought Sarah said, "Oh," as if I'd frozen. So what
No,
I'm
you'd
getting
know
at
we'd laugh.
basically, oh yeah, that's true. Basically, what I'm getting at is if your blood work is saying that your hormones are like low or lower normal, or even higher normal, and you're symptomatic, push the symptoms aspect of it because that is what should be used to diagnose perimenopause, postmenopause, and that sort of stuff. But as far as I would suggest getting blood work, finding out where your hormone levels are at. If you're not on HRT, that could be a conversation. I've spoken about it before. Depending on the age of the person asking the question, there is this historic fear of HRT, and this one study. I can't remember whether it was late 90s, early 2000s,
I
but it
think
was
it
one
was earlier
study.
than that. The breast
Yeah,
cancer one.
actually, yeah, it probably was, but it basically it had a very, very small subject group, so therefore initially you can't say that the findings were that proven because of the
Yeah.
size of the study, but basically they made a correlation between HRT and cancer. So you've got a whole generation of women who were too afraid to go for HRT because they thought it was going to increase their risk of cancer.
That's
Yeah,
interesting. I don't know. I'm not even going to ask the
So
question.
when I had obviously with my surgery and everything involved, it was discussed the HRT side of thing because I've got a risk of ovarian cancer. Obviously, we've looked at having my tubes and ovaries removed, and that would then put me into a medically induced menopause.
Yeah.
Surgically induced menopause, which
that's going to
literally
be
means you wake up in menopause. Like horrendous. It's like instant. So it's not a gradual thing. And for me, like my mum was like in her 60s going through menopause, and my auntie. So there isn't a history of early onset. So that's why I decided to initially have my tubes removed only, so I'd still release the eggs. But they said as long as they just so we had this conversation, didn't we? I realized I didn't know much about my own body, that when they remove your fallopian tubes, I was like, well, where do your eggs go? And your body just absorbs them.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Do
I
you
just
have a
have this
period?
wonderful image of Kelly's
Yes.
eggs floating
Well,
around the
I'm on
blood.
depot. I'm on depot injections anyway, so I don't have periods.
I
But
like the way
they,
neither of you are listening
they,
to what I'm saying.
oh, sorry. They,
No, I was talking shit about your eggs just poodling around your body.
oh
Like,
yeah,
we go to the liver today. Oh, let's go to the brain.
yeah.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
don't have periods anyway, but you still would. But I think they suggest that you stay on some sort of contraception because it reduces. I think the releasing eggs continuously gives you a higher chance again.
Yeah, I suppose. So.
But they said if I haven't got a personal history of breast cancer, then HRT it's safe. But obviously for my mum, she couldn't take I mean, she's past menopausal age, but because she's had breast cancer, then you're at increased rate. And it's only because obviously you're introducing hormones into the body, and breast cancer's fed. Some types of breast cancer are fed off either estrogen, progesterone, HER2, or in my mum's case, she had triple negative breast cancer, which means it's just negative to all the three hormones then basically. And that's when they introduce she was triple negative, and that's when they start like introducing like tamoxifen, which I know people use on PrEP because that's an estrogen suppressant, isn't it? Am I right? Yeah. So yeah, there's lots of things you can do. I think you just need to
Also shrinks your prostate, from what I remember.
Does it?
Oh, don't want that to happen to me.
I think.
Not my prostate.
Not my prostate.
It's like Dave Crossan when they did my blood work in eval. For some reason, whoever processed me on the system processed me as male. So my blood work came back and he's like, "You'll be pleased to know your prostate's fine."
Oh, honestly. You'd be surprised. I used to work in pathology in the biochemistry department. So I used to do like the liver function tests and things like that. And you'd be surprised where you'd see like a PSA, which is like prostate test for a female.
What?
And I'd be like, what is going on here?
They actually processed it. Well, I suppose they wouldn't necessarily know from my name that I'm female.
Plus,
It's kind of,
don't assume my gender
Roman
stuff. You just don't know.
Roman
yeah,
Scotsman.
maybe he missed the A off. Well, that's what my granddad was called. But
Roman.
yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
that's
That is
why
cool.
I'm Romana.
That's like Spandau Ballet's son, isn't it?
Yeah, Roman Kemp.
Nice. So yeah, anyway, off topic.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah, so was that the menopause question?
That was the menopause,
Yeah. Do you think you successfully answered that one?
Not particularly,
The
unfortunately.
only other thing that I did actually, so I had initially, when I first had my mastectomy, I did question, I don't know the answer to this, and I've been looking into it. I did wonder whether it had an effect on my hormones, because I was having significant night sweats. Now, the only
mammary glands.
Yeah, so the only correlation I could find when you Googled it was that it's linked to obviously the chemotherapy side of things. And I didn't go through that. So I was like, well, why am I having night sweats? And there must be something there. But I never really did have my hormones tested actually for a pre-op initially for my tube removal. But I haven't subsequently had my hormones checked. It'd be interesting to see. because
Mm.
they've stopped now, and I'm wondering if it's just the initial chop off of all of your.
It might have been a
Yeah,
sort of delayed sort of shock
Mm.
reaction,
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
or
You-
maybe more. How long did they go on for?
Probably about 8 weeks, but then I did have
Oh,
a
quite a
lot
while.
of. I did have infections.
Yeah, so it'd be difficult
Could
to
well have
diagnose.
been. Yeah.
Probably more likely linked to the infection, but maybe initially some sort of effect of the general anesthetic, I'd
Mm.
suggest more so than. But yeah, again, I'd have to look into it,
Mm.
how much exogenous indigenous hormone is released from breast tissue, because as I said, mammary glands, there's got to be something.
Well,
I could
really, really quick, strange story for you. I was put on fluoxetine, and it caused me to produce breast milk.
So what is fluoxetine?
Fluoxetine
Antidepressant.
is an antidepressant, and I was put
Oh.
on that a couple of years ago, and I was like, what is going on here? Why am my boobs wet?
Why am I
And
lactating?
went to my GP, and he's like, it is a very, very, very unusual side effect, but it is
And
a
of
side
course,
effect.
if
Yeah,
anyone is going to
Kelly.
get an unusual side effect,
But
It's going to be Kelly.
I think it's because I breastfed, though, in all fairness.
yeah, no, it's probably. I
But
got,
it's got something to do with the prolactin or something in your brain.
yeah,
It's linked to like producing breast milk. It is so messed up.
that's the
So
other
look
thing.
out, Sarah.
If that woman that asked about night sweats, if she's on any antidepressant, especially through my own experience, sertraline, I had the most horrendous night sweats ever from that. Like literally, I would wake up several times a night absolutely soaked. So I don't know, it may well be a contributing factor if that person may be on some sort of antidepressant as well, which quite often is prescribed to women menopausal,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So
Damn.
it could be something like that.
Like smart. They won't give you HRT, but they'll hand out antidepressants.
Yeah, like
Oh yeah.
smart.
Fucking HRT. Oh dear. What was the other questions we had?
I think we've answered one of them, didn't we? There was one about
Somebody did ask me, do I have feeling? Can I feel my breasts? Now, I misunderstood this question as can I feel them? As in, like, I was like, this is some sort of pervy question. But
Gonna
I think they
grape them on the
generally were
podcast.
asking, is there feeling in my breast tissue? But because the box is so small on Instagram,
Yeah.
they
Can
kind
you
of
feel the
abbreviate.
breasts?
I mean,
So what's the answer to that then?
the answer is no, because they sever the nerve, like
No.
nerve.
Nerf endings.
What I
Yeah.
would say is after, I don't know if you had it after your initial when you
The
first
phantom nipple thing.
no,
Oh,
no.
no
Oh.
way to get a phantom nipple.
Oh, so
Is
what
it
would
bad?
happen? I'd have like shooting pains through where my nipples were,
Yeah.
and then I would get your nipples itching, Kelly. It's really itchy. You need to itch your nipple. And I was like, I have no
Oh,
nipple.
I
To the
bet
point
that's
where,
disgusting.
well, it's
I
the
wonder,
same, like people like amputate their legs and feel
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
I
Oh,
had
but
to
I
then
wonder
touch
as
where it
well.
was and itch it, like a fake itch.
oh,
Scratch. Yeah.
I don't
wow.
know if when you had your implants to start off with, whether you had any of those symptoms then.
And underneath. So it's
Would it? I imagine it would have been less noticeable because my implants were periareolar, so they went in through the nipple, and mine were really. It was actually the scarring that was itching.
Mm.
But I'd feel like I needed to itch here, but itching there wouldn't do anything. It was actually the nipple, but where they again severed the nerve endings, it was almost like the nerve was so damaged around the nipple that I felt it higher up.
That's so
And
strange.
to be honest, I still don't have full feeling back in my nipples, but it has improved massively. So you may well get some feeling back to an extent.
So I do take a supplement, which is actually used for chemo patients, and it's to help with neuropathy, permanent neuropathy pain that's
Is
caused
it
like
Cialis?
what? No, it's like something acid. I can't remember what it's called, and it's basically supposed to help
Alladronic acid.
tension.
Oh, I think my dad takes it.
Yeah.
It's like yeah, like I think it's along those lines, right? I'm pretty sure.
It's in my cupboard. It's going to annoy me, but yeah, I take that, and it's supposed to help with regeneration of nerve, because obviously you can repair nerve ending like to a certain extent.
Yeah, yeah.
When I severed my finger and started my bodybuilding journey, they said that, yeah, nerve endings do repair, but it takes so long, I could be dead before I get the feeling back in my finger.
Positive.
On my deathbed, I'd be like, I can feel my boobs. It finally happened.
Do I have nipples again? Because it feels
Yeah.
like it.
Wow, I
Yeah.
didn't know you can get phantom pain when you lose your nipples.
Neither did I.
Oh,
And I'm
that's-
on this like group where like different women that have been through similar things, you know, where you can chat about what you've been through. And I was like, can I ask some questions? And I was like, firstly, do your breasts get very, very cold? Because they do, like freezing. And then
Yeah.
secondly, like, will I ever feel them again? And some people are like, alpha lipoic acid.
Ah.
Yeah.
Some
that
people are
rings a
like
bell.
alpha lipoic acid. Okay,
That's
that's
it.
a very, very big answer.
Amazon. Look, it would annoy me.
Yeah. Wow, that's mad. Well, there's the answer to whoever asked that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's slightly better than feeling my boobs.
Oh,
So
that's massive.
confused.
That's crazy though. Such like to lose such a large amount of feeling in such a sensitive area.
I mean, most women can't feel underneath their breasts anyway. That's apparently like a did you know thing.
I can. I don't have tits though, really.
You may think of estrogen as a female hormone. The ovaries, part of the female reproductive system, produce most of women's estrogen, but breast tissue and fat cells, I knew fat cells did, also make estrogen in all genders, which makes sense if you think about it, because how else will men get gyno?
Exactly. Bosh.
Yeah,
Smarts.
I can't remember what the question was now. Oh,
It
yeah,
was
of
about
course, they produce FSH and LH and prolactin.
Follicular stimulating hormone.
Yeah. Luteinizing hormone.
smart.
Dave's going to be cross that I didn't remember this from the Pillars course. So
Shocking.
yeah.
To be fair,
Well,
there's a lot
what
of
was-
information in the world to maintain within your brain, and eventually,
Yeah.
you know, it all comes out, but just at useless points, not when
Yeah.
you need it.
I can't
Yeah.
remember what the question was about producing estrogen from your breasts now.
No, we were just talking about the fact that we wondered whether it had an effect on my hormones, remember? Because we were talking about.
So yes, it does.
That's the answer. Bosh.
I don't think I've probably got it written down somewhere actually.
Because you did is it what the 9 pillars of something?
Yeah, the
With Dave?
Pillars course with Dave.
Yeah.
I think it's
Was
in
that
my
good?
other book. Yeah, really good.
Oh mate, God, I
Yeah,
couldn't do
it's in the book under the sofa, and I really cannot be asked to do
it.
that.
Fuck.
But when you do, Sarah, you'll be like, I know the answer to this.
Tits.
Did you know you can also have phantom nipple pain when
I
they take them
want
off?
to say I've
Yeah.
got 25% in my head, but I could be wrong.
Of what? Of
Of
how much it's
human
produced?
of women's estrogen is produced from the breast tissue.
I mean,
I think
it wouldn't surprise me.
I think it is slightly higher than men off the top of my head, and thinking back to December, and a lot has happened since December.
A lot.
A lot. Yeah.
A lot. So someone asked me, is it normal to get painful pumps when on Anavar? They do go away fairly quickly though. So when I've used Anavar, like I've used it in conjunction with other things, and my food has been very high. So yes, I think it did make a difference to my pumps, but that could be in conjunction with the other variables that I've used as well. So like normally when I like, for example, this year I ran Primo and Anavar alongside each other, I'm going to get ridiculous pumps because 1, my food's high, 2, I train hard, and 3, I've had those in the system for a while. I mean, my pumps are considerably better when I'm on cycle, but I don't know whether that's just Anavar alone.
If I were to have ever used Anavar, I would say that possibly I wouldn't have noticed a difference if
Yeah,
I had ever used it.
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Used it. I run it 365, 7 days a week.
If I were to have been put on it for 5 months, during a diet phase, I can't say. But then I don't. The only time I really get a pump is in my biceps. I
Oh,
don't really.
really?
I don't really get. I get it a bit in my quads, but that's the
Oh.
only. I don't really get pumps.
And your
Not.
forehead.
And
Oh
your
yeah,
forehead. Yeah.
yeah.
See, a lot of people would say if you're not getting a pump, you're not using the muscle.
Mm.
What's your opinion
Dan
on
can
that?
testify that I am using the muscle,
I mean,
but
you are huge now, to be fair.
sorry.
Your growth between switching up your training is huge. Like, especially like in
Yeah,
your glutes and stuff, it's mad. So
yeah,
like you're obviously like a walking proof that you don't necessarily need to get a pump to grow.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think I don't know. It's not something. I used to get it CrossFitting. I'd get a forearm pump,
Yeah.
but I don't know whether because of my CrossFitting and the amount of lactate that my body has been exposed to over the years, whether that and being
Oh yeah.
functionable with that
Just
in my system,
what I
whether that,
find is really good to get to get a pump is to use occlusion bands right underneath my glutes so
Oh,
that
love it.
I shit you not, we were in
Oh,
town
I
yesterday
fucking hate
and there
that.
was some chick
see Sarah was
walking.
like, hang on a minute, this she's
No, wait. We're in town in Exeter, and some chicks walked out of the Pure Gym with those Sheen. It looked like those Sheen leggings. You know the ones, the
Yeah,
ones
yeah,
where
you know.
when you peel them off, they kind of the tissue then like
Yeah.
explodes out of them. And literally, this was a dump truck of a behind. Like there was a fucking wagon she was dragging. And Dan and I were looking at her and we're like, those fucking leggings, the ones with the stripes underneath the arse, all they do is they just create an optical illusion to make your ass look bigger. And as we've got closer, I'm like, it looks like she's got like occlusion bands round the tops of her thighs. She did. She was walking
Yeah.
through town with fucking occlusion bands. And it's just like,
they're
sweetheart,
so
you've got no fucking
uncomfortable.
business fucking with those.
I
Like,
can't. I can't. It is what my
You're
biggest fucking
literally
pet hate.
tourniqueting your legs.
Like
but
if you
you're
do
now
blood,
walking through town. And I'm pretty
yeah,
sure you've got no muscle mass anyway to occlude.
like it literally it just because someone in my gym does it, and I'm like, if you did blood flow restriction training properly, you wouldn't be able to fucking breathe. Like the amount of times I've almost been sick during blood flow restriction training is not even funny. So like it's just stop. Like if you don't have an ass, you don't have an ass. Train it properly. It's so infuriating.
Go on a diet, lose some weight, see where
Time to
you're
wind
actually at,
Sarah up.
and then try and build from there without eating fuck tons of
Oh.
McDonald's.
Just watch
That
the
would be a better
stories
start.
and then ask the questions.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
and putting a band on the hack squat, that gives you a pump.
Oh yeah, ask for her about that.
Oh, Kelly knows. Kelly knows.
Fucking
I
hell.
got a tagged in the story. You might have seen it yesterday from my client.
Yeah.
Another lad from the gym. Another good deed done. And
Oh
then he said
dear.
to me, he was like, he asked whether he should bang the hack squat. Um, and my reply was like, no, not for the moment. Let's build from where you are with the hack. And then once we max that out, we can start introducing bands. And he was like, nice while it lasted. It was the first time I squatted 170 in a really long time.
It's like is the band is just there to take the like to
Weight,
save the
is
knees
it?
and the bottom in it.
Yeah.
I thought so.
I went through a stage when my knees were really bad that I'd use a daisy chain and purple band
Yeah.
to take the off the bottom of the hack
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whilst I built up tendon strength in my knees. And
Yeah.
actually, I found switching to the pendulum did that far better without the use of a band.
Oh.
And now, like my last quad day, I was able to hack squat without knee sleeves for the first time in ages because I've
Nice.
built up. It was almost like over the summer where my strength increased so significantly and my muscle mass did. My tendons and joints weren't ready for the
Oh,
load.
you don't even need to talk to me about that. Like,
Yeah.
just from
We've
this
had
off season,
conversations about
yeah, my tendons are just screaming for help, especially my knees. My knees are agony. They're much better now. I've lost some weight, but oh,
that. For
woo!
me, it was in
Do you
between my
supplement
ribs.
anything? Do you supplement anything for your joints?
Yeah, I tend to use a joint supplement or glucosamine or whatever.
Yeah.
It got so bad that I was gonna do like a BPC 157 kind of like cycle, but I was like, I'm just gonna give it some rest. And to be fair, it was my own fault really, because I came off a stage and I hadn't had a deload and I was training all the time and I just didn't give myself rest. And like in the end, the day I thought about having a deload, I went in the gym and my adductor snapped. So it's kind of like my own fault really. So, yeah.
BPC, for those that are unaware, is a type of peptide that you can
Oh yeah, sorry.
inject into the site, or you can have it systemically through an IV. Yeah.
Promotes angiogenesis. It is apparently.
Yes.
Smart word, long word.
But I think it is like I was in a bad place over the summer with the pain I was in. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things that I was unaware what was going on. It didn't help that the source of my HRT wasn't exactly spot on. So my hormones crashed, which obviously makes your joints hurt more. Like low estrogen will make your joints hurt too.
Yeah.
But there is something about putting on a lot of muscle mass in a very short space of time and how
Yeah.
your joints just can't cope with it. And the misery.
And I don't think a lot of people talk about that either. Like you see all these like me or Euro or like, you know, someone who is a smaller frame or a smaller height. Like I'm 5'4" and I'm fucking 84 kilos. Like that's just not normal. And like you don't realize how big you are. Obviously, we always see ourselves through tinted glasses, but like I was like looking at someone who's like 5'8", 5'9" the other day, and she was like 70 kilos, and you're like, fuck me, I'm literally like
You're like a tiny tank.
yeah, like 4 inches like smaller than her, and I weigh 12 kilos more. And it's just like a lot of these big girls, I don't think realize like or don't speak about actually like putting the tissue on our frame is tough. Like I got to the point which I had never have done before where I literally couldn't put my shoes on, like just because I was just so like, well, one, I had a little bit of bloat, so but like it just got too much. And that's when I said to Tom, I was like, I just need to have a bit of a like reset and then go again. And it's just
Well, I think it's still weight, isn't it? It's
oh
still
yeah,
like I know it's not the same, but you know, you do get like
Cancer.
obese patients that will literally get up out of bed and snap their ankles just because the
I've been
sheer
to that
weight.
patient.
Yeah.
We had to take her
What,
out
in
through a window
Wales?
with 9 firemen.
what?
Like she was something like 22 stone, had learning difficulties, bless her. And yeah, she did that. She got out of bed, rolled her ankle, and
It's just
ended
like
up
a
with an
pathogenic, isn't it? It's just like literally just like
open
Wow.
dislocation of her ankle. And where she was so wide when
Sorry.
lying down. Yeah. Yeah. So
Wow.
this bit, right? This bit was pointing that way, and you could see the bottom of her tibia.
Oh wow.
For
I wish
record,
I
you
could
should
wear white
see the bottom of
socks.
somebody's
You know what? I wish I could wear socks like that. I just can't without
They're
everyone
so
calling me a
tight.
lesbian. So I'm just
Sarah,
I don't think that's why
you're a
people
fucking
call you a
lesbian.
lesbian.
it's the short hair and the rather masculine traits.
See, I just
No,
walk
to
around
be
with
honest, I think it's just the fact that you live with a woman who is
Yeah.
a girlfriend potentially.
Maybe.
For those who didn't know, Sarah's a lesbian.
But Leeds can
Did
get
you-
away with wearing those, and I want to be as cool as you guys, and I just can't. Maybe it's the size of
I
my
don't
feet.
like that. I find those socks really tight on my ankles. Like when I bought a Nick Danny socks, they're really tight compared to my socks.
Either Danny has
I must
child
have
ankle,
cankles.
or you are a true wellness athlete.
No,
Yeah,
I think
that's
I've
it.
just got cankles.
Chunky
Well,
from the
Danny's got
ankle up.
ankles. Yeah. I was
He's
going to
got
say
really
something,
thick ankles, to be
and I've
fair, 'cause
forgotten
he
what
used
it
to play
is,
football.
which is
Typical
annoying.
Romana.
Oh, that
should
was
we
it. Yeah.
ask-
She was so wide when she was lying down. I'm going
Yeah.
back to my story, that we couldn't take her through a doorway. So we
Wow.
had to take her out through a window with 9 firemen.
That's
So when you
crazy.
get to that point in your off seasons now, that's when you need to start cutting.
yeah. Let me break
Well,
my ankle.
there are people like that out there, though, that are like, yeah, I've put on 40 pounds in off season, and you're just like, oh, fuck.
Oh, stop. I must admit, like this time round in this off season, I've been very much aware of my composition. Whereas last year I just got fat. Like, but this time round I've been like, okay, I'm getting a bit chunky. Like, I don't know whether you guys have found that like the more you've like had an off season, competed off season, are you more aware of your composition and whether it's going too far?
The last off season I did before Tom
Mm.
BT, I just felt fat. I didn't feel like a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
This off season, I felt like a bodybuilder. I felt I looked like a bodybuilder when I was walking around. So I
Mm.
felt less self-conscious of being larger.
Yeah.
And I don't think I was overly concerned with my composition as such, because something I discovered in this off season is it's quite difficult for me to get really messy.
I was gonna
Um,
say, bro, you're always quite lean, aren't you?
and we were pushing food up towards the 4K mark, and
Mm.
yeah, I had body fat, but you could still see I had delts, I had lats. There were, if you squinted, there was some outline of abs. So I wasn't too fussed. But the time before that, I just had a belly.
Yeah.
And like it, I suppose before this last off season, my weight sat very typically for a female.
Oh yeah.
Whereas this off season, it's more where I've got more muscle mass in general, it's been more evenly distributed and
Yeah.
less frontal, lower sort of belly.
Yeah. I tend to just hold the weight in my love handles. That's where
Yeah.
it will start to build up. And then I'm like, looking like a bit of a muffin in my top now. I need to kind of like
Yeah.
taper it down.
That was similar
You've
to
got
me
a
as
bob,
well. And
a
then
belly over belt.
A bob, yeah, that's the best way to put it.
for some reason, something we discovered this off season is I tend to hold a lot of fat like here.
Oh,
It's weird.
that's
Yeah.
weird.
That's
Not on my
stress, though,
lower.
isn't it?
Sorry?
That can be stress.
Can it?
Cortisol, yeah.
I just thought it was because potentially if I were to use growth hormone and I were to inject growth hormone, that would be in my lower abdomen, which obviously has a slight fat burning
Mm.
attribute to it.
There we
Maybe.
go. What about you, Kelly? Have you had an off season, then prepped, and then had another off season, or have you kind of just
Yeah, so
like how
that's
does it
kind of
work?
what. So initially, when I think when I was sort of off season, then what I initially wanted to do figure, which when I think about it now, like why but you've got to try. Just my upper just did not want to happen.
But I think
But it's
also wellness wasn't quite so.
no, it's not really
Wasn't
something. Yeah, didn't really think about it. But my body composition's changed again because my upper feels smaller again because I have less breast.
Yeah.
So, but then at the same time, it makes my lower look even bigger now. So, yeah.
Great success.
Optical illusion, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So I don't suppose I really know. Like, I don't actually know how much weight I lost when I had my breast tissue because I couldn't really weigh myself after surgery because I was so inflated
yeah, yeah.
because I had those drains forever.
Oh, I
Punch and
bet they
Judy.
all ache.
Well, each breast was draining something like 40 mil each day of just blood and whatever builds up inside there for a
So,
week.
so
Edema.
where were they connected? Like,
So it literally, it's like a long cannula, like
oh,
a needle that
yeah.
goes.
Is it up here?
Sorry if anyone's squeamish, by the way.
So it goes like in. I think I've still got scarring. So it goes like there,
Yeah.
then up across.
Mid-axilla.
And I didn't realize that it literally runs. I don't know why somebody might not actually watch this to see, but it runs to the center, almost like the center, right to the edge of your boob in the middle.
The way
Yeah.
you
So when they,
described it to me was like underwiring of a bra.
yeah,
And
Yes.
yeah,
when you
literally
described them pulling it out, I used to make a little
horrific.
cut in the side of my bra when the underwiring would start digging in here.
Yeah.
And I'd pull it out, and it's almost, I imagine it coming out like that.
Exactly that. Except they pulled it out, then told me I could have had pain relief.
What a dickhead.
And it got
Fuck's sake.
stuck because there was a kink in one side. It
No.
made like a hook. And I was like, whew. I've got a high, to be fair, I've got a really high pain threshold.
Were you a
Need it.
little bit clammy?
Little
Clammy.
Clammy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry if
Yeah.
anyone's squeamish listening to this.
You kind of
Gosh.
can't listen to this and be squeamish, let's be honest.
What's that?
You kind of can't listen to this and be squeamish, let's be honest.
Not really, yeah.
Not
So
when I'm on.
should we ask, answer? How do you deal with ill health and training? When to push through, when to pull the fuck out? Sometimes I feel like sometimes feel I don't trust myself to know when to push and when to rest. So Kelly, you probably answered this one quite well.
I had a row off Babs the other day because I had a sore throat and I took antibiotics. I've got some in the house because I'm like a walking pharmacist. But I had like my tonsils were so swollen, and I always do check in with her normally to say like, should I go back to the gym? Should I do a deload? But I woke up and I felt good and I trained legs.
Yeah.
And she's like, can you let me know next time? She didn't give me a row. She just said like, can you let me know next time? So I do tend to go on what she says.
Yeah.
But surgery recovery wise, it is so independent. Like you can look online and it'll say you can be back in the gym lifting lower like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. But at that point, I was still recovering from infection after infection.
Yeah.
So you have to, like, I didn't even get a professional who told me I could go back training. I literally went, thought, yeah, that's not happening, walked out.
Yeah, fair enough. Good
It
test.
is. It's a difficult one. It's something I struggle with as well.
Yeah.
The constant pushing, in all aspects, work, evident recently, training, everything. My tell that I need a rest day if one's not programmed in. I'm better at programming on my rest days now. Dan's doing my training because I've got someone going, when was the last time you had a rest day? You need a rest day. But even with him still doing my training now and before him, my thing was if the thought of doing a rep made me want to cry, then I should probably have a rest day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
I
is
feel
not the best advice. Is not the best advice.
Or
I
just
also
when
had
your session's shit. When it's
oh,
like
they're
it
like
wouldn't even
everything
happen.
feels, I think when everything you're doing and training, you're just like, I am not. And I can remember I had one point where Babs was like, let's just take a week off the gym because I wasn't enjoying my session. It felt like a chore. Like every rep, I was like, I hate this. I hate this. And like a week off, and then you start missing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the worst advocate for this. Like I'll tell my clients to back off when they're ill and stuff, but I will go until I go too far. Like I
They're
will
wheeling
literally,
you out.
yeah, I will pummel myself into the ground. Hence the adductor tear. Like I will literally pummel myself into the ground because I don't know any different. Like admittedly, like when I'm really ill, like I had quite a nasty bout of tonsillitis in university. You physically cannot train. Like I couldn't eat. I didn't have the energy to do anything. But from like in terms of as someone like just general advice, if you feel run down, then I wouldn't train because your body's already under a load of stress trying to fight off whatever it's trying to fight off. Adding more stress is only going to push you back 2 steps, 3 steps instead of push you forward. So you're just going to regress. So you should always make sure that, you know, if you get up and you're not feeling good, like if you're feeling a little bit snotty, then I'd be like, go and have an easy session. But if you're feeling real under the weather, like I can hardly breathe, then I would say take a couple of days off.
I would say it's generally the same. Like if I've got a bit of a head cold, even at times when I've had a bit of a cough, if I can still get my heart rate up and it doesn't make me feel horrible, then I'll still train. Or if it doesn't make me cough more, then I will still train. But things I use as a kind of guide is like, I know what my baseline heart rate is. So I sit sub 60 beats per minute, between sort of 45 and 60 beats per minute most of the time, just resting. So most of us
I'm
now
dead.
have, sorry?
What's
In
your
what?
scale?
42.
Fucking hell.
It sent you like when you have surgery, it sets everything off, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I would most of us now have some sort of ability to take our pulse either through a watch or old fashioned way. You can't really see it.
1, 2.
Like just on your wrist, that bit where your thumb comes
Amazing
down
how many
onto your
people
wrist.
cannot find their pulse.
About here.
Giving
It's mad, isn't it?
giving
Or about
instructions to
there.
people over the phone to feel their
Yeah.
pulse. They cannot feel their pulse.
I'm
But
dead.
if you know your baseline pulse and you are sitting 20 beats per minute above your baseline pulse, don't train. because your heart rate is elevated, you are fighting an infection. If you know your baseline temperature and that's elevated, like I actually sit quite cold. I'm 36.2 degrees centigrade. So if my temperature is 37 degrees 37 degrees, fuck's sake, I can't speak, 36.7 degrees, then it's elevated by half a degree, which is if that was 32 degrees up to 37 degrees, you've got a temperature.
Yeah.
That was a bit gabbly. What I'm getting at is if anything is elevated above your normal temperature, respiratory rate, pulse rate, blood pressure, if you've got the ability to check those things and you're doubting yourself mentally and you're trying to push through and you find that you have those elevated markers, then you can give yourself mental permission to rest on the sofa and not train. Because I think
have got another question.
I think that's part of the issue with most people. It's almost that mental permission to take a day off.
Yeah.
For me, that's the biggest thing. It's like,
And
well, I my competitors are still training. Why can't I? I need to still be pushing. Otherwise, I'm not working hard enough. There's this pressure to work hard all the time. And actually, it's okay to go, do you know what, today? I just really need a rest day. And it's really important to listen to those cues.
Yeah. I was literally about to say that, Ro. Like, never feel guilty. I know it's really hard to not.
We're the worst for it.
Oh fuck yeah, I'm like the worst person, but like
I'm getting better. Yeah,
like with like experience and being in the sport a little bit more, like obviously like on a professional level, like I know that if I don't take like rest days here and there, then I could put myself in an injury which will ruin my career, and that's it. All for not taking enough rest.
You won't recover enough to grow and progress.
Exactly. So I think it also comes with knowing how your body is, or how your body responds to things. Like just being firm, like finally in tune with how you're feeling is very, it obviously comes with experience, but it's also something that you can learn to do. But I think, what Rose said is just be aware of how you're feeling, and if you can track those variables and you know whether one's elevated or not, then just work from those. But then it just comes down to being like, I feel like shit today, I probably shouldn't train. So yeah,
I remember being on prep for Budapest, being on the sofa, and my resting heart rate was 95 beats per minute. And I was having a conversation with my coach, and I was like, I feel really unwell. I've got a bit of an infection. I think it's just a virus, but I don't know whether I should do cardio today.
Yeah.
And that's like the obscurity of prep that I needed to ask that question. Now, sitting here, I'm like, well, it's fucking ridiculous even thinking about training. And the coach at the time was like, no, you need to come on. We've got one more week. It's peak week. You need to keep pushing. And I didn't. I ignored them and I stayed on the sofa because I was like, I'm tachycardic for me.
Yeah.
No.
Mad. I also got another question that said, do you think birds are real? I don't understand what that question is asking.
Dodos aren't anymore.
No, dodos aren't, but all other birds are available.
Birds
we watched a very interesting documentary about racing pigeons last night.
I know, it's literally like, I don't think it'll come up. No, wait, but it just says, do you think birds are real?
I've just had when
you did say make them weird, or no, you said make them spicy, didn't you?
I did, but that's not really spicy, is it?
No.
What's yours, Cal?
How do you balance work, studying, social life, and bodybuilding? You don't sleep.
Yeah, sleeps for the weak.
And you get to a point where you go a little bit batshit and you need to tell your boss that you need some time off or you're going to go sick.
You just have to be very organized with it. Not so much organized with your time, but you need to plan your week.
Yeah.
But then be very flexible because, things can change. But just like basically plan out certain things. That's what I do. So like I did yesterday, I did some uni work. I spent like 3 hours. And then when my head starts going and my mind starts wandering, I'm like, right, I need to go and do steps. So that takes up a part of my steps. And then, I'll start doing that. And then social wise, I'm not a massive social bunny anyway.
Yeah.
But I do see my friends and I find like, just chatting to your friends like on your phone. It doesn't have to be a face-to-face thing.
Yeah.
I think organization is just king, really, isn't it? Like when people are like, oh, I can't have the time to meal prep, blah, blah, blah. It's just being down to being organized, isn't it?
And it's a little bit like what I spoke about earlier. As far as engineer, like most of my coaches, like even Dan with my training, has got utterly wigged out by the prospect of the fact that not every Monday for me is back. Not every Tuesday is legs, and not every Wednesday, etc., is a rest day. So the way I do it, and I said earlier on in the podcast, is I will try and engineer my rest days to be when I'm on a 12-hour shift for a day
Yeah.
shift, because
Yeah.
I physically struggle, especially like I work 2 12-hour days, then 2 12-hour nights. So I'll rest day on the first 12-hour day, and I'll train after work on the second, but I'll make it, it's
That's what I
normally
used to do.
full because it's
Yeah.
my shortest session. And then I normally, if I'm going to train legs, I'll train them before a night shift, because I've had the first night shift, I'll have a massive long sleep. So I'm really refreshed. So I'm ready for legs. And then I'll train like shoulders in between nights, because again, it's a shorter session, and leave my next rest day for when I come off nights, because I'm utterly bollocks and I've had 3 hours sleep, unless the rest of the week dictates that I'm not going to be able to fit a session in. So I'll have to train after nights. But it is just what Kelly says. It's like, think about your week. Think about what you have to do work-wise, what you want to do training-wise, and what you'd like to do socializing, and try and engineer that round your commitments that you have to do that deplete the least amount of energy possible. So like, I would never arrange to go and do something social after a 12-hour shift, because I'm bollocksed, unless there's a special occasion. Like equally, I wouldn't arrange to do something social before a 12-hour night shift, because I can't relax and enjoy whatever I'm doing, because I'm just thinking your day's coming to an end and mine hasn't even started yet.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, there has to be an element of planning to it, and almost that forethought of, okay, so if I train legs Tuesday, the next available time I'm going to be able to train legs is Sunday. Well, that's going to have to be after a night shift. So would it be better to train legs Monday and then Friday? What do you know what I mean? It's like, thinking
You just
about
don't
it.
have time to procrastinate, do you?
No.
That's all it is. Like, when people say to me, like, I don't know how you have that time. And I'm like, if you sit and watch Netflix for like an hour, that's an hour of a productive hour.
I
Like,
mean,
don't get me wrong. I will watch
sitting doing nothing for an
stuff like
hour
that.
is important and should be scheduled into your day or week.
Yeah, but predominantly
That's
that comes at the end of the day for me. That's when it should be the time that you procrastinate and that you have downtime. And that's what I wasn't doing. I was being manic all the way up until I was getting into bed, and then
Wondering
no
if I can't
surprise,
sleep.
my head wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
So it's
It's
about
like,
getting everything done in the day so that you can stop.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, to be honest, like I'm like you, Kelly, like I'm not really a social person. So like I didn't really have that. To be honest, I don't really have any really many friends. So like and I only have like my little circle that, you know, I have my best friends who live down the road, and then
Same.
like
I think
my,
that's
you know,
the same for most adults, really. You have
yeah,
your
like,
people, and then you have others that
It's
you
just as you
interact.
get older, I think, isn't it?
like
Yeah.
Smaller
university
circles.
yeah, like when I was in university, I was super social, but then I wasn't. I kind of just trained for fun, trained to get fit. I was playing football most of the time, so like, you know, I did change my sports around so I could be social, because I was at university and I wanted to have the best 3 years. I wanted to drink. I wanted to be an idiot, you know. Like, whereas now, like bodybuilding is my priority, and I would rather go and train, as bad as it sounds, rather go and train and know that I'm possibly beating the person that might beat me next year, and then sort of make time for socializing another day. Like when I have a rest day, I'll go and see someone, but you know, training's my time. I need to get that done. That's my priority. And like I'm very lucky in the fact that people like my best friends and that's support that. So if I said, look, I can only meet you at this time because I've got training, they'll be like completely understanding. So,
I
you
was
know, like,
literally about to say that. The
yeah,
people in your life that are your genuine people will be there, prep, off season, if you have to cancel last minute, because they'll understand that it's not about you and them, it's about the process that you're going through. And
yeah,
if you don't see them for months on end, like, it doesn't matter, they'll still be
yeah,
there. I'm seeing one of my oldest friends on Monday night, and I think the last time we saw each other was just after Christmas. Doesn't mean we're any less friends. She's got different priorities. She's married with a child,
yeah.
and I'm doing my bodybuilding thing and working all the fucking time. So life
But then,
happens, but the people that are important and think that you're important will make the time when you're available.
Exactly. Like me and my best mate Sophia, we don't talk all the time. And like, but when we do, it's like we never left each other, you know, like
Yeah.
we can stop, we won't talk for months, and then we'll just be like swing each other a text, and be like, hey, and it'll be like back to normal. And that's what
Yeah.
best friends should be, you know, not someone that needs to be constantly around you all the time.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that's the answer to that one. But I haven't got any more questions. Well, actually, I do have one, but I lost it. And it was if I can find it
I
again.
got one about muscle worship.
Oh, nice. Oh, favorite
Ever.
favorite vape flavors and brands Romana knows in prep.
Currently, I have.
Does that say Lost Mary?
It does. Lost Mary, blue
Mary?
raz cherry, whatever the fuck that is.
So
Triple
how,
mango.
how many puffs do you get out of those?
I don't know.
Like
it's
a
meant,
pack
it's
of
meant to be
20 puffs.
600. It's meant to be 600, but I can't say I've counted.
Because you probably don't notice that, like, you're literally sucking on it, like.
Oh, I notice.
Oh, there we go then.
Because I'm due food.
I'm going to start calling you a drag queen.
Yeah, do it.
Hey, I like that.
No.
Yeah.
How, are they expensive?
$5 for that.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. Shouldn't
Hey.
really be wasting my pennies on them, to be honest. But
Fuck it.
you know what it's like when you're. Although I'm obviously on the slightly increased calories, but still, it's for me. It's that finding something. I'm a boredom eater, so finding something that occupies my time to distract me from wanting to boredom eat is quite
Boredom eat. What's that?
Yeah. Where you eat because you're bored.
Oh, I thought you said I couldn't hear the
What
boredom.
did you think?
I thought she said boredom meat. I was like, what the hell's a boredom meat? I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Secret fact.
See, see, I kind of just I didn't know what I did in prep. I probably just stared at a wall for an hour or so. I really can't remember what I did.
I just didn't stop. That's
you know,
what I
yeah,
decided.
you just
If
go
I
through-
didn't sit and clean. Oh, I did move house, though, if you
yes.
remember.
I clean.
I
clean
remember.
so much when I'm in prep. I'm literally
In
queen.
peak week.
I wish Dan
Clean.
cleaned so much when he's on prep.
Yeah.
I'm
me.
obsessive. I'm obsessive.
If I literally spend between my meals like scrubbing the house from top to bottom.
Yeah, I'm the same, Kelly. I'm so bad.
That's probably why I was ready so early, because I was like
Getting your steps
do
up, Hebron.
not stop.
I do a bit of cleaning when I'm on prep, but having 2 dogs and a Dan, it's kind of a thankless task. Literally,
Yeah,
I got up yesterday and I hoovered, and within Dan got up, we went for a dog walk and came back in, and there was mud all over the floor.
There we go.
Oh,
Doesn't
that
help
stressed
that
me
our
out.
hallway is white tiles.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah,
Right, I feel like we should call it there because this is probably about a
Yeah.
2-hour long podcast.
it is, isn't it? But I feel it's a good one.
If you're on
yeah, I feel it was good.
2
I need
hours
to eat,
steps, 2
so,
hours
yeah, no.
cardio.
Yeah.
All the things I could have done in the 2 hours.
Clean.
Nah.
No, I mean, if people listen to this, it's something to do, isn't it?
Oh, that's true. Yes.
Because that's what that's a great thing for mental health, is a podcast and a walk.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love a good podcast and a walk, to be fair.
Normally
My mum
murder
doesn't
ones.
say very
Mm.
sensible things very often, but something she said to me back in 2019 when I completely lost my head and I went radio rental was, it's impossible to worry when you're walking.
No, that's true. I like that.
And
Unless
I
you're walking on your own in a forestry, because then you'll worry that someone's going to kill you.
I don't
And it
tend to
might
have
be
that
Kelly.
worry very often, to be honest.
To
I
be
think they
fair,
get a
somebody
bit of a
did
shock.
mention that to me. I bumped into somebody the other night and he was walking the dog, and he said, I think people are more scared to bump into you.
I would love to bump into you,
with your hat and your hood,
Kelly.
your mask.
Yeah. And your mask. Oh dear.
Thanks
Well,
for the lovely catch up, and thanks for inviting me on again.
absolutely no worries. We'll probably make it a common thing.
Yeah.
Be very
Are
popular.
you calling
so-
me common?
I mean, common...
we're inviting the common thing on again this week.
Kelly, known as Common.
Yeah.
Oh dear. But as usual, like, share, subscribe, and obviously leave us any comments if you
Ring
want
the
to.
bell. whatever that means.
Exactly. If you want to sort of DM us if you want any more questions or anything answered. Don't forget seminar on the March 25th at 12 till 1, 12 till 4 at Kingdom.
Get out for that soon.
Yeah, but I will do some bits for that anyway. And yeah, I hope you will go or have a good evening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Woo!
Bye.
Bye.